Well, welcome to the Redeye stream number 164, 9/11 facts and fiction. Um, okay, let's go full Alex Jones right from the get-go, guys. And you know the regulars here. We got Sherardi, Cabbage Patch, Tema, and of course my co-host 40 ounce. Well, co-host when he ever shows up. Anyway.
Hooray.
Yeah. 9/11. Okay, first off, without really saying your age, where were you guys when it actually happened? I was in history class of all places. And I watched my history teacher, who was a football coach, break down fucking crying. So that was how I experienced 9/11. But we didn't close down the school. No, they didn't send everybody home. We were just all glued to the TV watching history happen before our eyes. Nowadays, I think they would have sent everybody home with a fucking towel for their tears. You know what I mean? But I digress a little bit there. Where were you guys?
I was in gym class. They brought a TV in. Told everybody to sit their ass down.
Were you in white pop socks and panties?
I was in clothes that I brought for gym class.
Sorry.
Yeah, obviously cabbage.
I went to public school.
Yeah, you elitist bastard. There was a little bit of dead air there, so I got a jab in at Cabby. Anyway, that's one thing I'm kind of curious. What was the British reaction as that was actually happening?
Well, it was weird because I was watching. There was some BBC Two, and I was watching. It was lunchtime for us, and I was working from home that day. And I saw there was it said breaking news, across the bottom of the screen. BBC One, breaking news. So I switched over to BBC One, and I saw the smoking tower. And I thought, well, somebody's fucked up here. It's like, somebody's put Die Hard on in the afternoon or something. I seriously, that's what I was thinking. It's like, what the hell is this? So then I sat there and it was like, and it was, just as the second plane was coming in. And I saw that. I was like, okay, this is getting weird. Sat there, really, just totally agog. It was just, at that point, there was no information. It was just like watching a film unfold,
Yeah, no, and I forgot about this part. So we watched in history class the second plane hit live. The whole class and the teacher included, like I said, was glued to the TV. But I didn't know about it until I got to school because I had a long bus ride. And I'm in, getting breakfast. My buddy goes, "Hey, somebody just ran a plane into the Twin Towers." I'm like, "No, you fucking dick, no way." And then sure enough, we watched it happen fucking live with the second plane.
It was a very odd experience. It's one of those times where you're really not sure how to react because you don't know what's going on, or it's sort of it's just the fucking end times or whatever.
Yeah, no. And 40, where were you? Because you're quite a bit younger than I am. Do you even remember it happening?
Yeah, I do actually. I was still living in Colorado. My dad was working. He was in the Air Force. He was stationed at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. And I remember when it happened, I literally didn't see him for like a week afterwards. And that's something that I think is actually quite common among people my age whose parents were in the military. I've talked to multiple people where this has happened. People didn't see their parents for weeks, sometimes months, depending on where they were stationed and what kind of role they played. But yeah, I didn't see my dad for like literally a week. And then it was about a year after that when he started getting deployed to Afghanistan. So it was very strange. They never took us aside when I was in school, because I was technically in school when it happened, because it was early in the morning. It was around noon, or not noon. It should be around 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. technically when it happened my time. And they didn't bring a television in or anything. We had gotten word that something had happened, but I didn't know what happened until I got home. and it's one of those surreal moments where you don't quite understand what's happening, but you do know that something is wrong because, family members are calling each other and asking if everyone's okay and, what's going to happen to you. Are you going to get deployed or something like that? So it's definitely quite odd looking back on it. That's for sure. I especially remember this one thing I could never get out of my head. I especially remember how angry everyone is and how much everyone wanted payback. But it is kind of ironic seeing as how years later everyone regrets the fact that we went overseas.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's more of an Afghanistan versus Iraq issue. I believe the Afghanistan war was valid. We even declared
hindsight's 22.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020, but Well, I don't know. I don't think it should have been Afghanistan. I mean, it should certainly go in and take out the bases, but the invasion of Afghanistan, I don't think was necessary. Iraq was irrelevant. I mean, if you're going to go after the people who did, who've done it, then it was going to be Saudi Arabia, and that didn't happen, did it?
Oh no, and we're going to get to that. Before we do, I want to hear where Tema was and her reactions when it happened. She's the only one that hasn't said anything about it yet.
I was waiting. Everybody was talking. Okay, so we were still in the house. I hadn't gone to college yet because I wasn't in elementary or high school. I was in college. My oldest was visiting her father, and he lived right next to an Air Force base. So I woke up to my mother screaming no. When the video of the tower of the first plane hitting, they were showing it, and she was screaming no because my mother's very dramatic. It woke me up. I went out to the other room and I turned on the TV, and I remember watching they showed the clip of the first plane hitting, and then we were looking at it burning, and we're all going, what the fuck is going on? And maybe 10 minutes later, my mom and I are standing there, and we watch the second plane run into the second tower, and we're both shouting no, and my knees buckled. My knees buckled because I knew that just meant thousands of people were dead. I sat down and watched for probably the next 10-15 minutes, just crying. And then, I got up, got some coffee, and I came back to watch the towers fall. I was in bed and woken up for it. For me, it was it's hard to talk about and not get really emotional. My father's a retired fire captain, and my mother's a retired 911 dispatcher. So I knew who was in the building when it fell, or in the buildings when they fell. So it hit me a little differently than most people. But I remember exactly what I was doing. My daughter was visiting her father. I couldn't talk to her for 2 days to make sure she was okay. But she was only 4, though. She was little. So the whole experience was stressful. I remember going to college, and they had a TV on in the in the cafeteria that everybody was watching. Our classes went on as normal. I mean, some teachers canceled them and said, you could come in, but we aren't doing class today because, there's too much crazy shit. We can talk, but I'm not teaching today. And then there were other teachers that were really angry that people weren't focused. It was weird. It was a very strange day.
That is weird because, in my high school, like I said, the history teacher, because I was in, like I said, history class when the second plane hit, and he just turned on the TV and he sat there watching, dumbfounded, and this football coach that is used to yelling at these teenage kids, getting them fucking hyped up for football, started fucking crying like a baby. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, what's up, Wolfshot?
The thing was it.
Hey.
Hi, Wolfie.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can.
You're a little
Yeah,
low.
Wolfie?
You're a little low, baby, but we can hear you.
All right, let me.
There you go.
Where were you when it fell? I want to get that out of the way right from the beginning, and then we'll get to the Alex Jones shit, the conspiracies.
Is this better?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're perfect.
Great.
All right, so I was in 9th grade.
I live. You could throw a stone, and I live near NOB, Norfolk Naval Station.
Yeah.
I believe it's either the first or second largest naval base in the world. Here.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, huh?
Nothing. No, go ahead. We're listening.
My ninth grade teacher burst into the room and said, "America is under attack."
Well, so
And
there was no drama then.
Well,
Duck and cover. Duck and cover.
no, we thought he was full of shit. I mean, how old was I? It was 2001. Just started high school.
Yeah, ninth grade. You're what? 14 or whatever. That's usually.
I don't know. I smoked a lot of pot. And I remember my mom coming to get me from school, and my dad, and we had this obscenely huge big screen because my dad, man cave and all. So we went downstairs and we watched the whole fucking thing, and we kind of sat there in silence, like, oh my God, is this really happening? And from that point on, I wanted to become a Marine. And then my mom put the kibosh on that fucking pipe dream.
So, I do remember the fervor right after it happened. This America got attacked. We must go take them out. Fucking Toby Keith releases that fucking song.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't even fucking get me started on that Toby Keith bullshit.
Look, I'm not. Look. That whole Toby Keith bullshit. All that aside, I felt like that. Hey, maybe I should do something for my country.
Yeah. Shit, I felt that way even at a young age. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I was 14 and I wanted to fucking join the Marines.
Yeah.
So I went to a recruitment station, got all that shit squared away, and then I bring home the paperwork to my mom because I was 17 at the time. And she told me to go fuck myself. No daughter of mine is going into the Marines, blah, 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 blah.
Well, I mean, you had a G.I. Jane fantasy, it sounds like, and she put the kibosh on it. I'm kidding.
My dad actually Marine. He was not going to get into that, but
well, no, and I just think it hit all of America and kind of the world. That's why I was interested in how Cabby saw it in Britain, because I mean, did the British people go, "Oh shit, America is on the warpath now"? Like, shit just hit the fan.
Not really, because I mean, if that had happened here, that would be the first thing we'd be thinking. It's,
where the fuck
reaction.
is MC?
Yeah.
But it was, the really strange thing about 9/11 was the way that it was almost like a play. It had multiple acts to it. Like you had the first one going in, which grabs your attention. It's like the opener to a film or to a book, and then the second one comes in. Then you've got that long delay while they're reporting, trying to speculate on what's going on. Then the first tower comes down, so it's like the third act, Yeah. And then you got that delay again, the pause, and then you got the fourth act of the the second tower, and then you got building 7, and it was really weird how the whole thing built. It was almost like like you said, we're going Alex Jones, so it's like a stage managed performance. It kept you gripped the entire day.
Well,
you wonder what was going to happen. Oh, and also, of course, then you had the Pentagon, and then you had the other plane that was, that went down in Pennsylvania. So there was just all of these things. Like, I mean, it was an unfolding, complex sort of, like I said, it was like watching a film. You're watching it and you're thinking, well, what the fuck? And it was like, well, whoever did this, they picked on the wrong guys, It's a very silly thing to do.
It's funny how you mention it kind of like being episodic in a way, because one of the things I remember is getting home and they ended up replaying, because like I remember, I do not remember which like news channel it was, but they had people from New York calling in and like describing the scene. I remember them replaying that and being like, what horrible scenes these poor people had to witness and so forth. And I remember listening to like some of the panic in these people's voices, and
You know, 40.
it's definitely real.
It was like War of the Worlds. You know, it was like the H.G. Wells thing. It was
Oh
almost
yeah,
like that
yeah,
was
yeah.
playing out. Yeah, it was. You see what I mean? It was,
They were replaying some of those calls today.
Oh, I'm sure they were, and that's why we're doing this show. I mean, it's 9/11. You know, we have to talk about it. But the thing is, though, as it fell, there was a lot of reports coming out that it wasn't just the planes, that there was explosives and shit like that. So yeah, we're heading into conspiracy now. But what do you guys think about those firsthand reports from people on the ground that said that that building, Building 7, actually got demolished?
well, I'm telling you now, if it's so easy, if you can have sporadic fires around a building and they just naturally do that, then I'm setting up a demolitions company. Because it's obviously the easiest thing in the world. You just throw a couple of matches around and everything's going to come down evenly. It'll all be great. It'll be the cheapest company. Think about it. Your only working overheads is going to be a book of matches. And that's it. You can then walk away and just wait for it to collapse, you know, perfectly on its footprint. I mean, it's the easiest job on the planet.
And in the chat, somebody already said jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going
Yeah,
there.
Ben Spud.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
It
that
can
was
weaken
Aaron
them, but
Spud.
that's it still doesn't explain the lack of resistance from the materials below when the tops started to fall.
Yeah, well, but there's also a shockwave factor when the other towers fell. That could have, you know, explained what
Well, that
looks
would
like
make-
a controlled demolition. But
But the thing is that the first one really is the most unlikely one to collapse. The second one was hit lower down, so you could think, well, you know, maybe that one because of the weight above it. But the first plane that went in pretty high. It was only in like what, the top 10 floors or something.
well,
10,
no,
50.
and as somebody that went
So
to
there wasn't
flight
much
school,
weight.
as somebody that went to flight school, these guys went to flight school for about 2 weeks or some shit. They didn't even learn how to take off the plane or land it. They just learned what the controls were and then left.
Yeah.
That is fucking suspicious. I think I would have notified, you know, the FBI maybe if somebody fucking did that shit. Like, why are they in flight school for about 2 weeks? What's up with this?
Yeah. And not only that, incompetent when they were in the air as well.
Hindsight is always 50-50 or to whatever.
2020.
There we go, whatever.
Hey.
Okay.
MC.
So we're gonna go back to my beginning question because MC just jumped in.
MC!
Where were you when the towers fell? I want to get that out of the way before we go into jet fuel. And since you just joined, we're going.
He can't tell you. It's classified.
I was in Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore.
Yes. Actually, Columbia, Maryland. It's just a small suburb outside of Baltimore.
What were you thinking? Because you were already in the military at that point, right? So you knew shit just hit the fan, right?
I wasn't actually in the military at that point. I had gotten out just a few years earlier, like 5 years earlier. And when I saw when I heard the tower got hit, I thought it was an accident. As we were watching it, we saw the second plane hit. And I was like, okay, we're under attack. We're up.
I remember when I saw it. I was just about to go to work. I had Sky News on in the background and saw it. And I honestly thought it was like a teaser for a really badly done disaster movie. Because
that's what I said. Well, I thought, it was like because I was watching the Daily Politics, on BBC Two at the time, and you get the little strip saying BBC One breaking news, switch channel or whatever. And I went over and it was like, well, somebody's fucked up because there's obviously, they put a film on in the afternoon.
Because I think we're so used to special effects to see in movies, it just didn't look realistic enough. If you get the irony of that. But
yeah, exactly. It wasn't dramatic enough. It was just real. It was just real. And then
it was definitely dramatic enough when you realise that it was real, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, and there is another aspect we haven't even brought up. The plane that they you have the phone footage of, the audio of them actually taking over the plane and crashing it into the ground
Oh
to
yeah.
avoid another disaster. That,
Let's roll.
that yeah, that's just insane to me, though. And could you imagine being those people on that plane?
No.
Well, you still have to question as well the passports, that appeared to be in perfect condition, afterwards. Managed to recover from that amount of wreckage. From that amount of wreckage.
I mean, honestly, I don't believe that some branch of the American government did it, but these people definitely had funding from somewhere.
Well, they did. It's Saudi Arabia, which is why I say, Afghanistan.
No.
I mean, fine, blow up the bases in Afghanistan. But
Real quick, we have a question from the chat. ANCAP Diaz says, so could the attack have been planned since the beginning during construction? No, because there was a different foiled attack on the World Trade Center before that, ran by Osama bin Laden as well, right, MC?
In the basement.
Well, there was from Al Qaeda. That was blind Sheikh Sheikh Mohammed. Something.
That was an Egyptian guy that they were using.
They called him the blind Sheikh.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But
how many years before did that happen? Because I was sophomore year when the towers got hit by the plane.
I think it was 95.
Yeah, it was around there.
Interesting how the Muslims, after as a conspiracy show, wanted to build a mosque on the site. That's actually
that was something that pissed me the fuck off when they were trying to do that. Yeah,
that's an old Islamic tradition. You defeat your enemy, raise their city, you build a mosque on the site. Like I said, that's an old Islamic tradition.
But MC, I don't know if you finished what you were trying to say, so go ahead, sir.
No, well, you had asked where I was, and I told you, and then. What was your other question that you have?
All right. So as the build-up for war comes out, do you think Afghanistan was the correct target of our aggression?
Sure, it was. They were hiding freaking bin Laden. We sit up there and immediately demanded they turn over Osama bin Laden. They refused.
America is to blame.
America's to blame?
Yeah, I just got to throw that out there.
You're just going to trigger me? Is that what you're doing? Don't worry.
Hey, I deserve to trigger everyone. I'm in the midst of a clusterfuck of epic proportions on this East Coast.
Yeah. You stay safe, man. I mean, that looks bad coming in.
Oh, yes, the tropical storm.
Yeah.
It's a category 4. It's a category 4.
That's it. Okay, it built up since I last checked. I only saw it when it was a tropical storm.
Yeah, not only is it past that, it is massive. It looks like it's the center is. I mean, even if you're not at the direct hit, that thing is going to go. It's like 300 miles wide.
So they're comparing the system to Isabel, which hit both Carolinas and Virginia. And I mean, there was significant flooding and shit, but like,
what year was Isabel? I don't remember that name.
Isabel happened in 2003.
Really?
It was a Cat 3 when it hit. No, it was before Katrina.
So it's only Cat 3. Cat 3's not that bad.
Well, yeah,
says the Brit who's never seen one.
I was joking. No, I've been through 4 hurricanes. Thank you very much. I've been 2 while I was on Barbados, and now the actual eye of the storm went over us, which was really spooky.
Well, that's a
strange experience.
Well, that's what North Carolina is going to get into more of that.
Yeah, but that is weird. Like you have this enormous storm, and then suddenly, it just stops, literally stops dead. And you go out, you can see the stars, you can see the sky, and then the wall comes in behind you and go bang, It was, it was exciting, don't get me wrong. But
we actually have had at least one major hurricane around here in the late 80s.
Yeah,
it
I was in Southampton for that one, mate. Yeah,
Yep.
with Mr. Fish.
no,
yeah,
no, see,
and that
no.
hit me. That again, that turned Seven Oaks into Two Oaks.
Okay, to give
So-
you
That's like me who lives on the West Coast saying, "Oh, hurricanes are nothing." That's bullshit.
No,
we don't get
we
hurricanes over
partied
here.
through it.
Like,
We partied through that hurricane on the south coast. I mean, we didn't. I mean, we knew it was like, oh, it's a bit blustery outside, isn't it? But nobody gave a shit, and we just. It was on a weekend as well, I think. So we were just partying.
Joking apart, even a small hurricane is nothing to laugh at. That night of the storm, it really pissed off my friend's brother because he just got this new car, right? Sports car. The morning after, he went out to find his garden shed, crashed into it.
Ugh.
A full garden shed, by the way.
oh well. The chat's asking 9/11 equals storms. I get it, but this hurricane is headed right at our friend here, Wolf Shot. So we are talking about it. But yes, we'll get back to the 9/11 conspiracies here in a minute.
I think
What's this hurricane called now? Then what have they named it?
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Right, see if we can blame it on a bloke.
Right, they've run out. I think they should start naming hurricanes after SJWs because let's face it, hurricane is generally wet, windy, and does a lot of damage for no reason.
Hurricane Riley.
Well, no, it's an old ass joke, but women are like hurricanes. When they come, they're wet and wild. When they leave, they take your house and car. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but you upset an SJW to try and take your livelihood. So same thing.
Yeah.
no, and why can't they just name it Hurricane Hillary? It would just fucking delete emails. It wouldn't do anything else.
Your internet would go down.
Yeah, I think that's something along the lines of like an
I think maybe that's why the Discord's been fucking up so much.
Right, maybe. I think most central servers are in the United States, aren't they?
But no, I do want to get back to 9/11 and the build up for war and the fever pitch it went to, and then suddenly we're in two wars about a year and a half into it, and we're just fucking fighting everywhere. I do want to bring that up, MC, and you're here, so here we go.
Also, but the odd thing is also using the people, the country which had the most participants in the attack. You're using their country as the base for launching an attack.
Yep.
That seems rather odd.
I remember chewing out this girl at the office I was in because she was going on about 9/11, and not long afterwards, and she was saying, "Oh, Americans, they never have any terrorist attacks in America, and they have one, and they go mad." And I was, that one, a terrorist attack, cost more lives in one attack than we've had through all the IRA attacks and bombings in this country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I forgot about the Pentagon. Let's talk about the Pentagon. I want to dig into that. Have you seen that the photos from the Pentagon attack? Where exactly is the debris?
You mean the car park? The car park footage of the thing hitting? I mean, the most surveilled building on the planet, and the only thing that's working that day apparently was a car park. It's got plenty of cameras on it. According to the review afterwards,
it doesn't have plenty of cameras in that regard, and there's a lot of reasons why they're not going to hand over that footage.
Yeah.
It's got a shitload more than just one in the car park.
Yeah, but let's face it.
Yeah, no, I can give you some reasons because it was a goddamn RPG attack and not a fucking plane. Show me the plane.
Show me the plane. Attack does not sit up there and take out almost an entire wing.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a little the damage is a little disproportionate to that of an RPG.
It would have to be,
and the debris is a little disproportionate from a fucking airplane running into it. I saw the towers. I saw the wreckage. Where's the wreckage at the Pentagon?
You saw the wreckage of the towers. What did you see of the planes?
Well, I mean, to be fair, the plane disappeared into the tower, and I watched that happen.
And they did find an engine. Don't forget, they found a complete engine. that
found
came off.
all the engines, and it wasn't complete.
Yeah.
There was pieces of it everywhere.
Well, I mean, you know, but I mean, like
Let's
a
face it,
sort
with
of
the
not
Pentagon
whole.
attack, there were fucking eyewitnesses anyway. So yeah, it wasn't an RPG attack. People saw a plane, yeah, with wings and the calls and everything.
There are other
Yeah, but
people
there was
saying that it didn't look like a regular plane. There are actually quite a few people
Yeah.
saying that it didn't look like a regular plane. It actually kind of looked like a rocket. So,
And there was a whistleblower that came out and said that he smelt cordite and things like that. There was, and you'd think that somebody in the Pentagon that they'd recognize the smell of cordite.
Well, no, and what I'm trying to get at, and I'll go ahead and go right to it right now, is it does look like George Bush let the fucking Osama family, who were in the United States when it happened, not Osama bin Laden himself, but members of his family, he let them leave on a private charter plane right after fucking we shut down our whole airspace.
Well,
Yeah, but dude, look, man, he had to
but
find
there's a
out what
connection
happened to
there.
that pet goat. He had to work out what happened to the pet goat. He
No,
had
there's
to
a
finish his
connection
book.
there. There's a connection there. Daddy Bush was in charge of the CIA at the time. Okay, hold on. So Daddy Bush was in charge of the CIA at the time that Osama bin Laden, or he was part of the CIA. I can't remember if he was in charge of it, but he was part of the CIA at the time that Osama bin Laden was trained by
I
the
think he was
CIA.
in charge of it.
I think he was in charge of it. So I can see why he would give the family the ability to leave like that. It's a familial connection.
George Bush was not in charge of the CIA. George Bush was the vice president of the United States during Afghanistan.
We're talking about before. We're talking about when bin Laden was trained in like the 60s or the 70s.
Yeah, Herbert Walker Bush.
Yeah, we're talking about Daddy Bush.
Yeah.
GH, not GW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how old was bin Laden in Afghanistan? When they first were fighting in the 1980s in Afghanistan?
You mean when he started the Freedom Fighters?
Well, hold on a second. Let me look this up.
Because I could have sworn he was trained by the CIA and Bush was in charge or was part of the CIA at the time. They knew each other. The families knew each other. They had a personal connection. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. No, I'm just explaining that they had a personal connection.
Well, I'm saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying if you shut down the entire goddamn airspace because planes are running into buildings, and then you let these fuckers out with direct fucking ties to the perpetrator, that is a goddamn conspiracy.
Yeah.
It fucking is.
Yes, but it's not like a
during the
cover-up
time
conspiracy. It was just he favored
wasn't
his
it-
friends and let them out.
Well,
during the time of wasn't it Zapata, the company that Daddy Bush had, you know, HW, and they were doing oil and things, and so there was connections there through that as well, and that was during the time. And also, didn't they declare that he wasn't in the CIA, and then, you know, it's like, sorry, we found his file.
Bin Laden was born in
1957.
Okay, so the whole thing with the invasion in Afghanistan, he was 20 years old.
Yeah.
No. To be clear for the chat, you're talking about the Russian invasion.
Yes,
right?
the Russian invasion. Okay. The Russian invasion. He was about between 18 and 20 years old. Now, I don't know if George Bush was the director of the CIA under Carter.
MC.
I don't remember.
Leaders of rebellions and terrorist organizations have been younger in the past. Yeah, competent leaders at that.
Yeah, and as was said, it's a familial connection as well. So it's not something which just popped up. It's been around for, you know, it had been around for a while beforehand through the families.
Yeah, no, and real quick, I want to read something else from the chat. Carl says, Bush was the director of the CIA. His family had several business ties with the bin Laden family. Bin Laden was trained by the CIA when he was an Afghani.
Mujahideen.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't fucking pronounce that.
Yeah. I am.
No, but he wasn't. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that. I want to check to see if that's accurate. George Bush was the CIA director from 76 to 77. All right, so for a year under Gerald Ford, and I don't remember if the Russian invasion took place during that time. I think the Russian invasion took place after 76.
Yeah, I think so as well. Actually, I thought it was in the 80s.
Well, it
Yeah,
carried
but there would have
the-
been a build-up and things.
Yeah.
it's but
There's
I believe
build-ups and
it
there's,
started in
you
the
know,
70s, but we wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been a build-up. It was not a build-up that way, though. All right. The Russian invasion of Afghanistan was actually a surprise to everybody because the Afghanistan overthrow took everybody by surprise.
Man, Carl needs to get his Hangouts working so he can be in here talking. I think he's working now. Damn it.
Well, yeah, no, and he's bringing up good points.
He
Do you
is.
want to read? Yeah, do you want to read that out loud, Temma, please?
The Afghani Mujahideen were equipped with weapons, including Stinger missiles, to fight the Soviets when they invaded Afghanistan.
And they were sold pretending that it was going through Israel or somewhere, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, no, but they're all stamped with the United States of America on them. That's
American
instruction. Those weapon sales that you're talking about, we were pretty blatant that we were doing it. They weren't trying to hide that.
Yeah, the Stinger ones, but they were getting them Russian materials. So that it couldn't be blamed on American funding at the beginning.
No! During that invasion, we were broadcasting that we were doing it. Are you kidding me? We were laughing, saying, "You guys sit up there and laughed about us in Vietnam. Here's your Vietnam."
Oh, right. Oh, yes, it was called that, wasn't it? It was a Russian Vietnam. I remember
Russians
that.
well.
Yeah, the Russian Vietnam.
No, there was you can say there was clandestine in the fact that we wanted to do it. We didn't want the people found out when we were doing it because we didn't want them attacked and to prevent it from happening. But we knew we went out of our way to tell people we were funding the Mujahideen.
Yeah, and to add insult to injury, Hollywood gave Russia their own Rambo. Yeah, Red Scorpion. Remember that film?
Yep.
Oh God, I forgot about that movie.
It was terrible.
Scorpion.
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember it. Well, I mean, I remember the name, but I don't remember.
Did get the original Red Dawn, which was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, the original Red Dawn.
You know what? That's funny. The original Red Dawn is right here next to me on my desk because one of my kids brought it to me. I'm like, oh, you want to watch this? This is a good movie.
Yeah, that began in 1979. George Bush was not the CIA director.
I wasn't saying that I was just saying that they were familiar with each other. They knew who each other was. There was favoritism used, is what it was.
Yeah, well, no,
that's all I was saying.
I don't think that.
MC, how do you defend when they shut down our airspace? They allow them to fucking leave, and they were directly connected. What would have hurt Osama the most? Capture his goddamn family.
Oh no, he had already been repudiated by his family. His family, his family had already disowned him long before that.
And see, I'm going to ask you this one as well, right? Which is a fairly basic one. Now, I mean, during the Cold War, America spent billions upon billions on defense, for weapons, and interception weapons. I mean, it's surface to air, right? You can have surface to air weapons. The whole East Coast is studded with them. Why was it after the first hit, and then obviously the second one, everyone knew what was going on. Why did it have to be an aeroplane to shoot down an aeroplane? I mean, there's plenty of ground-based material that could have been used to prevent the other two. I mean, once that second one hit, like you said, everyone knew, holy shit, we're under attack. I mean, what else did you expect to happen apart from the other planes have been hijacked? And not only that. Right, they turn off their transponders. It makes them easier to find, right? Because all you got to do is turn off all the signals from everything that's got a transponder, and then you can see the radar signatures of the two planes which don't have their identifiers on. So why? It just seems like such a weird way of operating.
Because the United States, to that point, all right, focused outward. No one is looking.
The missiles will fire in any direction, Yeah, but I mean, once they knew an attack was happening, you can. I mean, those things you just.
No, it's not that
radar targeted.
No, it has nothing to do. Where are the radars for the military? The radars for the military do not have all the civilian assets, and the U.S. military does not have a base in every freaking major city. It doesn't.
Every single air traffic control control station has a military. I mean, it's
Well,
all these civilian.
You don't
not
radar
really.
information
Not
is
the
available.
way.
Yeah,
Not
they
the way.
do.
you don't
Not the
no,
way.
Yeah.
wait a minute though. You don't really need a military base in every single city. The way we have them positioned all across our country, we can defend our airspace very easily, and we can control it almost immediate. Have you ever heard of scrambling jets? They did
Sure.
that in fucking Alaska not that long
Did
ago.
they in Alaska? All right.
And
Did
there's
they
Andrews
attack
Airfield
Alaska?
base.
Did they come from the Soviet Union and attack Alaska?
I don't know. You'd
no,
have to ask
9/11
Sarah
9/11
Palin. She
wasn't-
can see it from her window.
I know. Yes.
That has nothing to do with the question I just asked.
Fair enough. Go ahead, you guys. Sorry.
Okay. The problem that you're talking about is coming back and going, okay, well, the military knows where everything is. No, the military doesn't. The military focuses on entirely different things, and you're not going to be looking at an airplane threat coming from within the United States. They do not track.
Excuse me. No.
Do not tell me what we can do and what we don't do, Cabbage. All right.
I am saying, oh no, it's bullshit because the thing was they knew that those two planes, those two planes, and you said yourself that when you saw that second plane hit, you thought the first one was an accident, which is a reasonable assumption. You know, then the second one comes in and you said yourself, you know it's an attack. Therefore, you focus your attention internally because you know that those two were domestic flights because they knew what those planes were that were coming in.
You can't pivot.
Don't pretend that you can't just use the radar equipment.
You can't just pivot like that and all of a sudden grab all that data and start collating instantaneously.
Not instantaneously, but you can certainly do it within an amount of time when you know that there are, planes that are turned off their transponders
before the rest of those planes came down.
What with the transponders had got turned off? It was quite a while before because it was halfway across the US before it turned back. You know, the one that ended up from going into
that was what, about an hour?
There's plenty of time. What you think?
If you know what you're looking for at that time, but that plane hadn't taken off when the second one hit. They were already in the air.
You're looking for anything that is, that's at about 30,000 feet without a transponder.
You're trying to invent things as to how you can find all this stuff when your focus is completely different.
Carl is tearing it up in the chat. Tema, did you see that last message? Can you read that one out, please?
If you listen to the air traffic recordings from 9/11, it was pandemonium for almost 3 hours. Even after the attacks, the military was still hunting ghosts. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. It was crazy. Like,
is that supposed to be like a no shit comment?
No, actually, no. MC is arguing the same thing, and that's why I wanted that comment read out. Because Cavi is arguing the opposite. But I still think we have NORAD. I still think we have the ability to protect our airspace.
NORAD does not look at anything like that. What do you think NORAD does? NORAD's focus is on the Soviet Union on missile launches. They're not looking at they're not looking at planes.
Well, then why are they around?
Yeah, but it can look at
but it's anymore.
Because they can still look for missile launches in those silos. Those silos still exist. Those missiles in those silos still exist.
Yeah. And guess what? They also track their own missiles leaving American airspace. They track them as they leave. So they do have the ability to track things internally.
I think I might know who really was behind it. It was the Al-Fayeds, the people who own Harrods.
Oh, God.
Because the trade towers, obviously, rivals.
You know what, though, Batman? What you should have did was a joke and be like, you know who was behind this? The fucking Joker. And I'll handle it, guys.
Too obvious.
Oh, it was good. Anyway.
Why bring up Al-Fayed? The Americans have no idea who Al-Fayed is.
I just triggered Cabbage. I'm sorry.
No, you did.
But,
It's disappointed, mate. I just feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you, mate.
Do you want to throw in on this idea? I do believe that the United States can protect its own airspace. And I believe the second plane didn't have to hit if we were doing our jobs. I think somebody fucked up. I know you said you had to leave around 4 40-ounce, so throw in on this.
I think part of the reason the United States can't protect its own airspace, as you put it, is because of the sheer size
Yeah.
Well, like I say though, I mean, I've been in an air traffic control
no,
center.
literally.
Okay, let 40
Cabby,
speak.
yeah, 40 literally is leaving in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
So let him
40.
throw in on it real quick.
I mean, I don't think it's that our airspace is too enormous to actually protect. I think it's just strictly due to the fact that this was so incredibly unexpected. I mean, just look at the nation's reaction from just the citizenry. I mean, this is something that was devastating that people are still memorializing 17 years later. So, I mean, this is it's something that we clearly weren't expecting. I mean, we had no plans to go to war. It's not like our military was getting all beefcaked up for some fight overseas up until this point. So, I just think it was something that was unexpected.
Definitely.
Cabbage. Let me explain something. In 1999, we had a plane. It was a small little Gulfstream, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Flying, all right. And what happened is
with a golfer on it.
Right.
It was a golfer. Yeah, I know.
They didn't find out that there was anything wrong on that plane, or didn't do anything on that plane, all right, until after it overflew sensitive airspace, and even then, okay, it took them at least 30 minutes to go up, and this is after they flew directly over a real sensitive airfield, okay, all right, that they were trying to, before they could sit up there and engage and send something out to go find out what was going on.
Well, you know what though? Then
and that was in
why don't they care about air fucking problems when if I roll up to Area 51? No, wait, real quick. If I roll up to Area 51, they know I'm on my way there as soon as I hit the fucking highway to the base.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, with that one, it's a spurious argument because that one there hadn't already been a plane that had impacted on a building, right? At the point where a plane impacts and then the second one comes in. Now you could argue that the second one, would have got through.
You're assuming that everybody has the intelligence that everybody has immediately. That information is disseminated. It's already collated. It's already processed and analyzed.
When they took over the planes, didn't they make the pilots turn off the fucking transceiver?
Which means that's what I mean. So they saw them. It makes them. But that's what I was saying earlier, Mad Dodge. This is what I'm saying.
That's why you would react immediately. You have air traffic, and then suddenly it goes away.
Mad Dodge. This is the thing that I don't get, because it actually makes them easier to track because they are the only radar signature without a transponder signature. So therefore you're going to be much easier to identify.
You don't have systems, all right, that are overlapping that all across the country. You don't.
This was on the eastern seaboard, sir. They have them there.
Actually, it wasn't just on the eastern seaboard.
And also, you've got Andrews Air Force Base right next to the Pentagon. Andrews Air Force Base, which must have some kind of capability.
You do have a major Air Force Base, but the first plane hit, from the time where the second plane hit, where they said, "Wait a minute, there's something else going on." But you're thinking that they already knew that there was a bunch of hijackings that took place. They didn't know that.
Yeah. You've also got to factor in the shock, the shock factor, because the planes hitting the towers, that's an incredible shock. It's going to paralyze your systems for at least a few moments.
Okay, guys.
Well, it shouldn't do. I mean, that's why you have procedures.
It will do, because especially in the United States.
Yes, which is why you have procedures. Immediately you open the book and you start working the numbers.
Well, it's great on paper, but try doing it in real life.
Let Wolfie talk.
Interject. So, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with this hurricane, and I'm being told that I need to figure out everything from my family, from my important documents to my guns.
Have you got anywhere that you could evacuate to? Is there anywhere that you could reasonably get to?
Can you get inland a good ways?
We are checking on all hotel rooms as we speak. I can't give a definitive answer.
Wolfie, go handle your family and prepare for this hurricane. Thank you for joining.
Focus on what matters. Yeah,
we'll be thinking of you though, babe.
I mean, I'll be online via my phone, but
we'll keep us updated.
Get somewhere safe.
Exactly.
Hurricanes are notoriously skittish. Have you tried shooting and screaming at it?
Oh no, we have no. Hold on.
Hurricane.
We have an event scheduled tomorrow to shoot our guns at Hurricane Florence.
Yes.
Awesome.
God
It's on
damn
my
it.
I told you,
It's on
Dodge.
my
Wolfie's
Twitter.
not afraid of
That's
anything.
it.
She's
It's
gonna.
on my Twitter.
Fuck yes. You need to film that for me. That is so fucking amazing.
I
You're
want
like-
to see Wolfie
You're
with
like
a
the
minigun
eighth person
firing at the
asking.
start.
If you kill it, all right, I want to see the trophy.
Remember,
I think what you want to do is you want to get all your left wingers and organise a march against the hurricane.
Oh,
yes.
hey, Batman.
Use the re.
Get Antifa to march against the hurricane for you.
Yeah,
Use the re. The
fucking
re
Bat-
wave.
I mean, I will
Hey,
say, before I came home today, I went to the liquor store twice, got about 24 packs of beer and a whole shitload of John Deere green. I'm
Nice.
set.
Just
No,
See now that
no,
that is
full
prepping.
Yeah.
That is prepping for the hardcore.
well, that's how I would be prepping exactly. But Wolfshot, please do DM me and let me know you made it out of the fucking path. All right?
Yeah, let us
Like-
all know.
Yeah,
'cause
please.
We're going to be worried about you.
Yeah.
You need to get safe.
if you kill.
I
the
mean, I'll be
hurricane-
on later tonight. It's just I got to do some shit right now.
Yeah.
Go.
But even if you
go,
just got to get
ready.
in your car and go,
Yeah.
sleep in the car for a couple of days if you have to. Just head west or whatever.
I'd rather
Or
take
east,
it in the
whatever.
ass.
Go west. Yeah.
Well, my husband's saying, just go west.
I love you fuckers. Have a good one.
Love you
Yeah.
too.
Take care.
Please,
Good luck.
please hit me up and let me know you're okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'll keep everyone posted. I promise.
Okay.
Good.
All right, go get
Bye
out
now.
of there. Bye.
That being said, I do have to take off as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
that fire is getting closer. Like,
Yeah,
no,
it is.
actually, the fire that's by me is only 4.5 miles away now, and it keeps
Nice.
growing. So,
Oh,
You
nice.
yeah.
haven't gotten it under control yet?
Well, god damn it, get some rain, both of you.
Oh, it's actually only 60 degrees today. It's actually
And
kind of
it's
cold.
So nice. So nice.
Oh well, at least you can go and toast some marshmallows if you want to.
But yeah, but no, Cabby. Back to 9/11. Throw out your favorite conspiracy. Is it the steel beam one, Building 7? Is that where we're going next?
Oh no, the favorite one is the hologram. Got to be the holograms.
On a
There
side
was
note, my
there were
husband
actually no planes at all. It was all holograms.
I heard one there that it was actually the CIA using what do you call cruise missiles.
Yeah. I mean, despite the fact that you've got people, hundreds of phones and things like that, as well,
Yep.
and they'd all have to be mocked up and things. That's why I like the hologram one. It's just so bizarre. And there's also the other one, which was that there was a bulge underneath the bottom of the second plane, which fired a missile before it impacted or something. I don't know why that was necessary. It seems a bit of overkill to me.
Like,
but-
it's clear that they'd I suppose you could have gotten a hold of the tower's building plans, like City Hall. or
They're
something.
they're public domain.
Yeah, so it's clear they studied the building plans. They knew the structural weaknesses. They knew exactly where to hit the towers with the planes to cause the maximum structural damage.
Well, no, but that goes back to what we were saying before about the first attempt in the 1995. I think MC said that it was 95, because the van was meant to have been parked next to a particular beam, and it wasn't. It was parked away, so the blast didn't work. Because if it had taken that one out, then apparently it would have been enough to bring it down. So yeah, that they must have had plans. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known which one to go up to. Which one they should have parked against.
Well, to be honest, here in the United States, you can get pretty much any building's floor plans. You just have to pay for them. You go into the city office and you can buy any fucking floor plan, pretty much.
Yeah,
so.
we've also movies where the bank robbers actually do that.
Well,
They're public
I'm
record.
going a bit geeky.
Yeah.
Going a bit geeky on this, but those records and stuff, they have started scanning them, and the idea is there's a company that's making these VR headsets, for firemen. So when they go into a smoke-filled building or whatever, they actually have a 3D rendering of the building inside, so they can see what the layout is as they run around the building. It's Pretty clever. I mean, it's very cool. Like a head-up display, but you know, be like a superimposed vector graphics thing.
You know, like this is
Very
digressing quite a bit. This is digressing, but you started it. What do you think about like the Google glasses and all that shit? Do you really want an augmented fucking reality? Like I don't.
It'll be coming one way or another.
I would like a heads-up panel for my driving, so I didn't have to keep looking down at stuff. I wish I had a heads-up panel that kept me in the same peripheral vision.
Do you know what they should put on cars? Should put some kind of radar collision alerts, you know, proximity alerts.
Woman detector. That's what they need.
Woman detector.
What Tim is saying there is a good idea.
Poor Cabby, he can't figure out the difference between a boy and a girl. He needs a detector for that.
Yeah, well, these days you get. These days you can barely fucking tell. Bunch of fucking soys. All the fucking soys around.
I'm sorry, but I've got to side with cabbage on this. Sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Men trying to be women and women trying to be men aside, if you can't look at person and say, hey, man boob, woman boob, that's on you.
Oh, yeah, but that's like I said, you can't do that when you're in a car and you're behind a person necessarily. So you just want to know, you know, what is my risk factor here?
Yeah,
you know, is this woman going to do something erratic, like start putting a makeup on or something?
Well, no, this is an idea.
This soy boy.
A pink flashing light on top of their cars. That would work, right?
Exactly. Going to cut down on insurance claims.
Well, you know what's worse.
I don't think that was light, though, right?
You know what is worse on the roads than any woman, don't you? An Italian.
Yes.
Oh, great. Now Pinoid's going to show up. Good fucking job.
And then I dropped this stream in his general.
And Parisians. You go around Paris. There isn't a single car in Paris that hasn't got a dent in it.
Well, that's because the truck's a piece. I mean, come on now.
At least it's not an angry German. Yes, I'm talking about you.
Me? Or my husband?
No, your husband.
My husband? He's actually a really good driver.
No, it will be because they have the autobahns and, you know.
I was going to say, Germans are great. But
I said angry.
Well, that's only because, though, like, what, 15% of the whole population actually drives? You know how expensive it is to actually get a car and all that shit in Germany? It's fucking insane, dude.
Must be kidding. Do you know the price of a Mercedes in Germany is like, you know, 2/3 of the price that it is in America.
No, I'm talking about the license to drive. I'm talking about actually.
Oh, it takes like years. It takes like years.
No. Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
not like that. I mean,
Germans are good drivers, but let's face it, nobody likes the Germans when they go on a driving tour of Europe.
Well, yeah, because then everybody has to plant trees.
You don't know what the implications are. So, okay, well, we'll let you in, but what's behind you?
Yeah, especially when they visit Poland. They're just driving.
But okay, I'm right. Back to 9/11 though. All right. The world reaction to what happened was actually pretty amazing. Everybody seemed to have America's back. Suddenly they're flying American flags and shit.
Yes, burn them.
Yeah, no.
Can we at least admit that there was a shit ton of humanity in the world that day? Like actual humanity?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Western civilization, it covers Europe, it covers United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, the United States. End of the day, you attack one of us, you attack us all.
Exactly.
No, and
that was one.
Well, real quick, that actually leads into what I was
just on that. Yeah, but on what you just mentioned, that's one of the things that I found really good. It's one of the few times that I've actually thought Tony Blair, had any substance. Yep. Because as soon as it was clear, it came out that it was an attack, even before the Solomon building fell, he was out saying that we stand shoulder to shoulder with the US, against these attacks. So I mean, and that was about the only spine-based thing that I think Tony Blair ever did.
Yeah, and nowadays, the first thing that the politicians would be saying is, "Don't blame the Muslims."
No,
yeah, exactly.
And once again, like Batman, you're leading me into what my question was really. If that shit happened today, like somebody runs a plane into Big Ben, Do you think the world outcry is going to be what it was in 2001? I mean, I don't think so.
No, I mean, can you imagine the clone attacks happening in that period? There would have been a similar outcry if they had. Now, when they did happen, there wasn't. So that proves your point, Mad Dog.
Yeah. Like, what happened? Are we just so desensitized now? We're just like, whatever, Muslims do what Muslims do. I mean,
no, there's an argument for that, mate.
I mean, I've said before,
There's a desensitization,
Islam expects one thing only from non-Islam Muslims: strength. Up to the 90s, the Western world was strong. We didn't get much trouble from the Muslim world. Now we've got
but don't forget. But also now they've got the China sort of dynamic that's going on, and China's been out making a lot of allies, and allies of allies. And the friend of my friend is so the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and all that kind of thing. So there's sort of the whole geopolitical framework has changed since those days.
I think I forget who it was, but it is a historic quote there. The enemy of the enemy is the last one I betray.
You know what though?
Yes,
real quick,
that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Real quick though, Timma. I didn't know Carl in the chat was your hubby. I just gave him a wrench because yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah.
I think that Carl de Gross. When you see the Carl de Gross, that is not a B, that is an S because it's High German. Most people don't know that. I get really excited when they do. So does he.
Yeah, I recognize.
You don't get out much, do you?
I got smattering at college.
We got a smattering of it too. That's right. We were really surprised when nobody could fucking read it. We were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, it's Carl de Gross.
Hey, reading is hard. Just saying.
So,
is that why you're gonna fail your class?
Spoken like
hey, fuck you. Fuck you too. Okay. Yeah, turn on Bad Dogs. That's what's going on.
Oh, nailed.
Emma, one of the first things we got taught was in our German class was John F. Kennedy's
Ich ein Berliner?
Ich bin ein Berliner. I am a jam-filled donut.
Yeah, I am a donut. It's lucky you didn't do it in Hamburg. Ich bin ein Hamburger.
I am a giant donut, yeah.
Yeah.
But no.
And you could have done it in Frankfurt as well. Ich bin ein Frankfurter. I'm a big sausage.
Let's face it, wasn't long after that he was proven right. He was a jam-filled donut.
Well, no, MC, what we were just talking about, do you think the same public outcry would happen now if a 9/11 attack happened again, even in the United States? I brought up Britain just to see, what do you think the world outrage would be? And they all agreed that no, it would be almost minimal. But what if it was another attack here in the United States? Would we all band together again? Would we all be, stand arm in arm? Or are we so divided now as a country that's not going to fucking happen anymore? We hate each other.
I don't think it's so much that we hate each other. Sorry, MC, for jumping in on you, but to be honest, I don't think it's so much that we hate each other. I think it's the division based on the religion of the Muslims that has divided our countries.
Yes. We're basically being taught to hate ourselves.
I think that in the United States, it's gotten to an extent where we do hate each other.
Like you said, it's more we hate ourselves, or that's what our kids are being taught.
Well, but they've been taught.
No,
They are being taught that in schools. They are being taught to hate America.
Yeah,
this is one of the problems that when I was on earlier, when I did my stream earlier. I didn't know you were doing a stream, Mad Dodge. My biggest thing is everyone complains about the U.S. intel services, right? The real problem is okay, why do you hate the intel services? Told you to. Everything that people come back and complain about the services, right? The intel and everything, and all the different failures, and there are failures. Don't get me wrong, right? All stems from a group of people who have always hated this country and continue to hate this country, and they do things intentionally to hate this country.
Yeah,
You're
but
Hollywood, aren't you?
Well,
no,
give
but
me
but
an
give
example of
me
this. Let me give you a different example.
give me the sea of liberty, the tempestuous sea of liberty over fucking chains of bondage. I will take the threat of somebody fucking with us over the fact that the government can control everything you do. I will not take
and that goes to the whole freaking problem, because the government doesn't control everything that you do. All right, but they've got you convinced that it's this multi-tentacled little operation that's focused on going after strictly Americans. All right, and that they are your enemies, when the people who are actually the ones doing the censoring, destroying liberty at every opportunity, are the freaking people in the press.
Well, it's the corporations as well now.
I'm behind MC on this. As I've got to admit.
Yeah, but the thing is,
hold on a minute, David, if you don't mind. I'm speaking as an Englishman, but I've got to admit, I do admire the idea of America as it is enshrined in law. What was part of British culture, really. The freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Yeah, the stuff which you take one step forward.
The thing was though that they actually, they codified it, and we fucking failed to do that. And we had the chance.
Well, do you just think that the Eastern world, particularly Islam, they just hate our values? Because that's what they said all during the Bush years.
Well,
I don't necessarily buy that.
Of course, because they're a theocracy, and it's their religion. It's not just the.
I still think it's blowback. I think it's our intervention. We left them alone. They left us alone.
Yeah, that is just silly, Mad Dog. In history, do you see that?
There is a degree of blowback. There's no doubt the blowback is definitely, that there will be a response to any action. Every action has has a reaction. So there's no doubt that some of it is blowback. But in terms of their motivation for wanting to do these sort of things, and it's been made quite clear, is that they want a caliphate. That's just reality. They always have.
Well, that is true.
Always will, because it's built into their theocracy.
But you're ignoring the fact that you come back and go, well, some of it is blowback. No, you're justifying it. That's exactly what they do.
No. Blowback is not just. I'm not justifying it. Blowback is, the action reaction sort of thing. You do something, we do something, we do something. They would
do the same actions given the same opportunity.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
Excuse me.
How am I excusing it? I'm saying it's just cause and effect. That's not fucking.
No,
it's
right
not
now.
Cause and effect. They would do it anyway.
Dodge wants to talk. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, right now, aren't we talking about a case of blowback? When 9/11 happened, we blew back on fucking Afghanistan and took them out.
Stop right there. You want to talk about blowback, that this is all blowback? And I'm going to prove to you real quick that it wasn't. What was going on in East Jerusalem on 9/11?
There were celebrations, just like there were in New York City.
Okay, don't come back and tell me that they were one with us and that they were a part of this. No, they weren't.
Who mentioned the Jews?
The Jews
I don't remember the Jews coming in. I don't remember this. Anyway,
East Jerusalem, which is Muslim, is totally Muslim, and they were celebrating in the thousands. They were dancing in the street.
Yes, and that doesn't have to do with the rest of Israel, which is the antithesis Judaism, where they were waving American flags and putting on red, white, and blue and getting money together and getting supplies and stuff together to send.
You see, but what I'm saying, you're not getting my point here. I mean, blowback is for. I mean, don't forget this. You knew that. After the first Desert Storm, Desert Storm 1, with Bush and everything, and the troops that were being housed on Saudi soil, that was a big issue for Osama bin Laden, and he made points about it, and he said, get your fucking troops off, Islamic soil and things. So that was an initiation. But no, I'm saying that they were the provocateur. And then the blowback was that you went into Afghanistan and you kicked the living shit out of everything you could find, right?
Yes,
you know, you
that's
blew up
what
a
I
lot
meant.
of
Yeah,
guns.
that's what I meant by it. Yeah, that's what I meant about it.
They were
What I
going
was
to-
saying
what-
is,
wait,
no,
hold on a second. What were the Palestinians doing? All right, during the Kuwaiti invasion. You guys
Oh, yeah.
act like they weren't hating
no.
us long before this and celebrating
Oh,
our
no.
demise at every
Like I said,
opportunity.
Mate, it's not like no. You see, this is what I was just saying is that it won't matter in any way what happens. I mean, the blowback is not against political
Then it
things.
isn't
It's because it's
blowback.
theocratic. Yeah, but it's theocratic. It's a I mean,
Then
it's
it
the
isn't-
caliphate.
Then it isn't blowback. It's an excuse made by them as to another reason why, to justify what they're doing. That it doesn't even
didn't
focus
General-
on anything.
didn't
Yeah,
General
you know, you can put it that way. if you
fucking
like.
blowback. Wait a minute, no, didn't General Petraeus even call it fucking blowback? And I would
I don't
think
care
he would
what
know.
General Petraeus said
but-
about that when he's trying to be
Either
apologetic
way,
in public.
Right.
Okay,
I'll call it-
that has nothing to do with what's blowback and what isn't. If you
and I'm
take a
just
look at
saying cause and
history,
effect.
there is no cause and effect. They would have done it anyway. They were
Oh, yeah,
going to
that's-
do
that's
it
for
anyway.
sure.
That's
That's
not
for sure.
a blowback. Is when they sit up there and try and take vengeance for something. They're not taking vengeance. They're going to do it anyway. That's not vengeance.
Well, yeah, no, you're absolutely right in that regard, because I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have these trucks of peace. I mean, those are just unmotivated, I mean, that is.
Getting back
Yeah.
to what we were on about earlier, a little bit earlier.
Oh, I
about,
get your point.
about
Splitting hairs.
yeah, Islam.
I'm sorry, I gotta go for a little while, guys. I'll talk to you later. I'll see if you guys are still streaming when I'm done.
Bye.
Okay, all right, bye,
You
Tom.
were even
Bye.
back.
Okay.
Sorry, bye.
Have some more drama.
What I was going to say about Islam is I don't know so much about the westernized one, because the ones I know are pretty decent. They like, they actually want to be English Muslims, if you know what I mean. They identify as English first. That type. But
They
the
tend
one-
to be Sikhs and Hindus. No, very few
No,
of them.
no, Sikhs and Hindus are not Muslims. Do not call them
That's
Muslims.
what I mean. That's what I mean. So,
I'm on about-
but they're the
I'm on about-
ones.
Yeah, I'm on about Muslims. I know
Mm,
Muslims who identify as English first.
Okay.
Uh,
They must have been. I mean, are they first generation? Second
Second,
generation,
third.
third generation?
Second,
Right.
and
Yeah.
third.
So it's okay. So
But
they're going.
The ones that are coming over, especially the ones that are coming over, and they're actually radicalizing a lot of British Muslims. They're the ones who got basically old school Islam, I suppose you could call it. But they believe that democracy is evil.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Uh,
really
We
weird.
are
'cause I remember
not
seeing.
a fucking no. I'm so sick of this. We are not a fucking democracy. We are a constitutional republic. A democracy is evil. It is
Wasn't it just
shit.
the two British that were talking to each other?
I know, but god damn it.
They're
I
not
hate
a
it.
republic.
But everybody in America calls us a democracy. Everybody does.
do you have a democratic force?
I'm
It's
gonna
not
start
just
raging
hold on,
at
hold
libertarian
on.
it.
trigger.
I'm gonna start fucking raging at it from
Matt
now
Dodge.
on. When
Matt
I hear
Dodge.
democracy, I'm fucking triggered.
But you are a democratic republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, a democratic republic. That's not the same as a democracy. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. A democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
Oh, that was like wrong.
Yeah. But how? Yeah, but you do vote for the people that you have, for your states and for your, for your Senate and for your
Yeah, but
Congress. and
we
for
were
your
never.
president.
We've
if you look at
modified
the
some things.
Constitution. We were never supposed to have this many people voting. There was supposed to be a political class.
Only the
man,
landowners.
wait,
Yes,
wait,
only
what?
the
Only
landowners.
the
Yeah, feudalism.
No, don't go white.
Are you saying
Don't
the
go-
U.S. Constitution
I wasn't
doesn't
saying
scale?
shit
'Cause
about
that's-
race.
I think it
No, I
does.
wasn't saying shit about race. I'm saying people that have skin in the game are supposed to vote for the
Well, if
fucking.
it's so big, that's what the states are for. The states are supposed to run
All right,
the bills, and the
Like,
Fed,
doesn't
federal
everybody
government helps coalesce.
hold on? Doesn't everybody
but
who lives in said country have skin in the game? Because if the country goes down the shit, even the fucking
Are you telling me? Are you telling me somebody that doesn't even watch the news, doesn't vote, doesn't do fucking anything, has skin in the game? Why do they even care? They obviously don't.
I know.
They don't even watch
I
the
must
news.
agree.
Like,
I think there should be an IQ test before
Well,
you
agree
pass
with
the
that,
IQ to get the voting card.
Well, see, cabbage in our current meta, that's currently illegal. And I think just a lot of folks aren't feeling American right now, and that's very sad.
I don't feel American.
Well, you're
You're
an
not
Aussie, but
American.
you know what you should do? No. Let me ask you this: if all of a sudden you're saying there's no point in your life, you haven't felt like an American. You've never felt like an American before?
Sardonic in the chat.
Well,
Real quick. Sardonic.
That's a question. There was once when I was on holiday. There was this girl from the States, so I have definitely felt an American before.
Oh,
okay. Well, Sardonic in the chat says, "I think Mad is a secret monarchist." No, off with their heads.
Oh, it makes sense. It does. He's right.
No.
Right. When he wants feudalism, he wants to return to the aristocracy and the feudal knights.
Well. Here's the thing, Captain. Don't we all feel that way sometimes? But here's the thing: Mad Dodge may play a Joker, but he's secretly the ace in the hole because he'll snipe.
Yeah, I've heard a few people calling me ace, but I think it was pronounced slightly different.
Yeah, arse. like that. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm buying that. I'm buying the secret royalist thing. I think you do want that because it's like only if you're a taxpayer or only. I mean, that was how you ended up with things like rotten boroughs back in the day.
Yep.
Oh.
Hold on. Straight reckons Mad Dodge has got soggy knees. As he says, you never cover them up, Mad.
Oh, that misogynist? Yeah, women deserve tied to the stove. Get back in the kitchen.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Right. If that was the case, all you'd be getting is pizza rolls, and she's the one who brings in the bloody pizza rolls.
Mad Dodge is more along the adorkable misogynist, like that comparison had, except instead of adorkable, he's more like he's the classical dork misogynist.
I don't even know what.
Where are you going with this?
I rambled along and I gave him a random label. Labels are bad.
Yeah, this is a magical mystery tour, isn't it?
Yeah, no, memes. That can't go on my campaign poster. that one's vetoed. Anyway.
Actually, you might get a lot of votes if you actually had that. Misogynist for where do you live?
Yeah, right. Fucking Mad 2020 misogynist for office. There we go.
Where the hell is penance gone? Because before, didn't the rightish folks always say, "Oh, we need to have penance for sins as long as folks can admit to it," and didn't the left have
no, I got it.
Hasn't happened.
No. Make kitchens great again. Tie up the women's. No.
Yes.
Well,
make kitchens great again.
Well, see,
put the women back.
I think that would be classified as kidnapping, so I don't think it's really going to work.
Oh, you're right.
Only if it's in your bedroom.
When you're trying to watch the game, and your wife's distracting you by her nagging in your ear. You know what that means, don't you? A chain to the sink's too long.
No, see, I always got yelled at for earbuds in my ears.
Yeah. So, where were we before that really piss poor joke?
Where we were was talking about how
9/11
whether or not we would come together as a nation if another attack like that happened. The answer is no.
Oh yeah.
Not the war. No.
I don't know about that. Because here's the thing: people are pissed, but
I mean, like you said earlier, 9/11.
Things seemed pretty good in 2001. Oh, hey, things are going. You're getting ready to graduate high school, and oh, what the fuck? We're under attack.
Like I said, 9/11. It didn't just come together as a country. We all came together as one civilization.
Yeah, it was exactly because it was like I said. Immediately Britain was there saying we stand shoulder to shoulder against
even the fucking French.
Western
but the French, you don't want them on your side. Seriously,
Cabbage, just because you've been saying something doesn't mean you say it.
Will not sit up there and do it again. They've got everybody convinced that no matter what happens, if somebody says, "Well, I think it was X, Y, Z," somebody else is going to say, "No, that's not correct."
I still think
they doubt anything and everything that happens.
But
I still think the underlying humanity is there that will say, no, this is an unjustifiable act, and people. I think there's still a fundamental standard. I mean, yeah, people might talk their talk on the internet and things like that, but when it actually comes to the crunch, because people realize that actually this shit's got serious, and this could this could affect me.
I think Cabbage is actually right, but it's a lot of the time folks like to push each other.
When you see disaster movies like an earthquake or something in a movie, people all seem to go out for themselves. But when you see it in real life, the opposite happens. Yeah. Even the worst people in society will stop and help total fucking strangers. Will go out of the way to do it.
I mean, we saw that with the Blitz and things like that. I mean, even the ones who were the little, the pikeys and the the usual ones who were the the trouble.
Well, that was
that was it. Yeah,
if that was so dominant nowadays, you wouldn't have people screaming for help in New York City and nobody calling them or calling people or calling the cops and everything, right? Why a woman gets raped in a stairwell.
How did that happen? When did that? I didn't hear this.
A lot of folks don't like to get involved in other people's business.
Well, I thought that, actually, it is a bit disturbing because you did have to institute those Samaritan laws, didn't it? And you shouldn't really have to institute a law,
Wait, isn't that how they killed off Seinfeld?
Hold on, I've got to answer Carl's question there in the chat. He's asking, maybe you, Brits, can answer this. If you call Boris Johnson a cunt, it's okay. But if you call Sadiq Khan a cunt, you're a racist hate monger. I call that little Torag a cunt every day.
Absolutely, I have no problem calling him a cunt, and I think cunts actually. We still have to invent an appropriate word yet. I mean, we're still working on what to actually call.
Actually, Carl, I tell a lie. I don't call Sadiq Khan a cunt because cunts are useful.
I still find it amazing that with all the basic oppression to you Brits' freedom of speech, you still are able to actively use that vernacular in everyday conversation. And if we do that over here in the States, we get lynched.
Half the time with laws like that, it's the historical.
Not all the time, but
I said half the time with laws like that, they're historically ignored.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit.
Oh, exactly. It's basically like if somebody ever took out of context what I said just there. If all of a sudden anybody was looking at me, it's like, oh, he's a racist mofo and stuff like that. So it's like, oh.
Well, Joshua,
yeah, but that's the thing. You see, we've got thicker skins, and because we don't have to worry about people wandering around with the guns and stuff like that. So we tend to play verbal games when we're arguing. Yep. So it's I mean, if you can't disarm the words.
It's pub fair banter.
Exactly.
It just varies on the level of alcohol.
Real quick, looking at the chat, how would Barack Obama have handled 9/11? That's the question of the day.
He would have probably blamed England.
Well, I was going to say, MC, you lead with this question. How would Barack Obama have handled it? Better than George Bush? Worse? Fucking incompetent as fuck? What?
I don't know. Barack.
He would have. There would have been a push to sit up there and sit down and have a beer summit with him, with Osama bin Laden.
Well, the first thing Barack Obama would have done, would have asked his wife what to do, because he actually said I keep bringing this up, I know, but he actually said in one of his earliest interviews, every decision he has to make as president, he runs by his wife and gets her opinion.
Is that a bad idea?
Yes.
Now, is it literally every single thing, even during an active combat mission?
That's what he said.
Was she there? Because otherwise, that would be unfeasible. Just because of real time. I think he meant in general when he make things.
I think
he would have brought out frickin' his pastor, right, who was sitting there saying America deserved 9/11. America's chickens coming home to roost, and he would have sit up there and put that front and center.
Oh yes. Oh, I see what I see
No,
where you
Reverend
get your
Wright, Reverend Wright.
Oh, MC, yeah, I get where you know that thing about the bloke. I mean, yeah, because it has been misrepresented, but especially by that guy.
Oh, he was an evangelical preacher. That's what he did. And in some parts of his sermons, he did some stuff hating on America.
Yeah, he was a mental case, that one.
Well, he was a high religious man. Is there a correlation?
There you go. I rest my case.
What?
I rest my case. He was a mental case.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, see? Subtle.
Batman, save us.
Okay. Oh, save us from what? Pineapple on pizza?
But anyway, oh yes, please. So yeah, back to where were we? The 9/11.
Well,
We're still going to get back to 9/11.
Yeah, no, exactly. And actually, memes. You joined really late. You never said where you were. You've told me before you're pretty much my age. Where were you when 9/11 happened, and how did you feel about it? And what was the mood of the people around you?
I was in Latin 2. All I know is at the beginning of class, all of a sudden the principal came over the intercom and said, a plane has hit the World Trade Center. I'm like, oh, shit. Whoa. Here's a fucked up thing, dude. I remember a couple of years before, there was like a Cessna that flew into the Empire State Building. It crashed into an office and nobody died. So, like, that was my reference.
The pilot died? What are you talking about?
Wait. No, I thought there was another one where nobody... Did he die after? Did he die after? Because I think I remember the day it happened, the morning of. Did he die from injuries after?
I think the pilot would have died on impact.
Well, no.
I know the pilot in that case died. He did not.
Okay, no. But okay. But all I know is, like, that happened. And it's like, okay, people were hurt and people probably died. Here's the thing. I was referencing, I'm like, holy shit, that's horrible. I'm like, why is the principal? Because I only saw that on the news and they didn't do that last time. And all of a sudden, like 30 minutes later, another plane has hit the second World Trade Center or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, this is real. Dude, I literally thought we were at war. Like, I'm going online. I'm like, you're thinking it's like, oh, who have we been fucking with? I'm like, all right, well, this Saddam Hussein. We launched missiles at him and shit.
It was like I was saying to 40 earlier on. It was such a weird day because the way it unfolded, the different acts, the different episodes that occurred, the first tower, you see that. So it's all smoking. It's like, what the fuck's this about? And then boom, the second one comes and it's like, hey, this is getting serious. And then there's another one. And then there's another one. And then you got Building 7. It was just so weird.
Dude, here during the day and like just all of a sudden, like all the classrooms were watching and literally, even like my AP history teacher, he's just like, this is history. It's like we should be teaching European history right now, but it's like we just spent the next week just watching that, and just like I remember going to like the AV room and just watching and stuff, and then all of a sudden like the towers start coming down, and it's like, this is.
That's what I mean, though, because it's like the way it unfolded, because you get the impacts at the beginning, then you've also got the, are the towers going to come down or not, whatever. Then you got the other two planes which are then you get the Pentagon impact, right? Then you get the first tower coming down.
Oh, it's an act of war. Dude, it's an act of war. You're just waiting.
And you got the Pennsylvania thing. Then the second, the second tower comes down. It was amazing. It was just, I mean, as I say, when I was watching BBC Two at the time, and I switched over, and I thought that they made a mistake. I thought that they were, they were playing a film. I thought it was like Die Hard or something, Die Hard.
Like I said, because we're so used to seeing this sort of thing on movies where the spectacular effects, it just didn't look realistic, did it?
No, it's like somebody. Well, I was just thinking somebody screwed up. I was going to go back to the daily politics, and the only reason I didn't flick back was because that's when exactly the point at which the second plane hit.
Reality is
and
often like, more fighting than.
And 8:46 is when the first plane hit.
Yeah, which for me was around lunch. It was just after lunch.
9:03 is when the second plane hits.
Yeah, there you go. Finishing my lunch.
But are you talking about West Coast time? Because I think that was West Coast time.
No, this is East Coast time. This is East Coast.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was around 2 o'clock my time. That's right. It was pretty much that was my lunchtime. You see, I was having my lunch and I was watching the.
Oh, that's right. I did have to get to school by 6 something.
And I was watching.
No, I was in class and I watched that second plane hit. Like I remember it vividly. That happened. So.
Well, because I was watching the Daily Politics, and the Daily Politics, you know, runs over to about, I don't know, 1:30 or something like that. So it was 1:30 where the first plane had already hit. So I went over and watched that, and then that was it. Just
you sure? Because I remember, like I said, I remember seeing it on Sky News about 8:30 before I left the house to get the bus to work.
No, it was it was lunchtime.
I'm sure it wasn't.
What you do realize one of you lives in the UK and the one that's on the other side of the world in Australia.
No, we both live in the UK.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
No, he's a Geordie. No, I mean you can. We know the times when the planes hit. When the planes hit, we know the times when that happened. I mean, no, it was lunchtime. I was watching the Daily Politics.
Oh, it would have been lunch for you. It was like second or third period, I think, for me.
Yeah, it was 1:30. Yeah, so it was like half one exactly, and that exactly. So half one, I was eating lunch, watching the Daily Politics, and then I switched, and it said breaking news. You know, plane. You know, so I switched over, and it was like, no, this is somebody screwed up. You know, somebody screwed the ticker tape. And then you know, like I was watching it, and there was all the feed coming over about what had happened. And then, what was it? Half an hour later, 20 minutes later, the second plane came in.
It wasn't even half an hour; it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes after that, you basically have the Pentagon hit, and then about 30 minutes, about another 15-20 minutes after that is when the plane crashed in Pennsylvania.
Could it be that the plane didn't crash into the Pentagon? It was actually shot and then it fucking kept going. Did they actually shoot it down?
No, not with the maneuver that they declare it did.
The closest thing that probably possibly could have gotten shot down. There's still a lot of debate about that. Is what the plane that went down in Pennsylvania.
I tried to bring it up earlier because we have the tape recordings. We have the black box also from it, and that was some fucked up shit. And the fact that the dude was on the phone with his wife and he's like, someone is trying to hijack the plane, we're gonna take it over, I love you, goodbye, I think is what he said. And just that's heartbreaking, man. Like,
well, they were on those phones, and then they were informed that 2 other planes had hit the World Trade Center, and that's when they realized they were part of a larger operation, and that they were going to at some point in time they were going to hit the ground if they just sat and acted like a hijacking.
Well, I've got to say, I was surprised that Americans would be hijacked by box cutters. You know, I mean, just wrap
We had gotten complacent. I can't tell you anything more than that. Nobody was ever expecting to be driven into a building, and they should have been.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean,
I thought there were some reports like a month or so before saying that there was such a plan, like a level of credibility I'm completely unsure of.
Mm.
Oh no,
that's right. Condoleezza Rice got caught with the folder saying Osama bin Laden intent on a American attack.
The FAA had already had procedures, all right, that during a hijacking they were supposed to depressurize the cabin and if there was an attempted hijacking and land. If any of the pilots would have obeyed what the FAA recommendations were during that day, none of the planes would hit buildings.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because you pressurize, you knock everybody out. Yeah, well, you knock everybody out, right?
Well, only in like the cabin or something like that. So one pilot stays in, the other pilot goes out, and then
he gets his regulator, and I mean they have manual. I mean he could have put his oxygen mask on. Depressurized, knocks everybody out, and then land. Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't sound like a common training exercise.
Well, no, I have a question though. I don't really remember this being in the details of what they think actually happened in the 9/11 report, anyway, because I have read that before. Did the passengers crash the plane on purpose, or was it that they were taking it over and the hijacker crashed it?
Nobody knows for sure.
No,
I would err on the side of the crashing it.
I don't know, because I think the passengers, they were going to be using one of those big trolleys, you know, and they're fucking heavy.
They do know from what I heard.
And
from
they smashed that into the door.
They could hear them bashing in the door to get into the cabin. All right.
Yeah, they were using one of those trolleys, apparently.
You also hear the freaking pilot screaming Allah Akbar. All right, but I don't know. You don't know if they actually were able to gain control, or if they were fighting for control, and when it went down, or what the exact situation was when it hit.
Well, no.
And the thing is, I mean, at that point, presumably the pilots were incapacitated.
Yeah,
so, I mean, unless there was a pilot on board, you were pretty much fucked.
Tyro
anyway.
says that, yeah, we believe the hijackers crashed it before losing control.
Okay. Yeah, I could never imagine being on that flight and what I would do personally. Yeah, it's insane. And if they did take the plane over and they did stop it from hitting the White House, because that was the target, correct?
That or the Capitol building, they're not sure which one.
Yeah, and they are heroes, and that's all there is fucking to it.
Oh no, they're heroes. They're definitely heroes. They did stop that plane from hitting its target. Period. They were successful in stopping that plane from hitting the target, what it was aiming for.
It's really sad, actually. Like, kind of depressing, but it is 9/11, so we're talking about it. But damn, man, in that situation, what would any of us do? I don't think we really know.
Until you're actually in that situation, that's the thing. You can say what you'd like to do.
Well, to say what we do today and what we do then are two different things.
Well, yeah, like you said,
what
you'd like to do.
Well, but everyone at that point had gotten complacent as a group. If I would have been, I honestly believe, if I would have been on one of those planes when it was first taken over, I'd have been like everybody else. I wouldn't have. I just said, okay, we'll wait for the hijackers to fly us to Cuba or wherever.
Exactly, MC. That's exactly my point. This is because usually, I mean, all the times before hang on, but when planes have been hijacked before, it was usually take us to Cuba or take us to Guatemala, or we're flying to some god awful place. But that's what hijackings were. Well, I mean, there was the occasions where they blew up, the planes on, but that was usually when they landed or whatever. But they used to release people, and you would be expecting a kind of procedure to go through. You did. I mean, unless you knew that they were actually suicidal, then you pretty much just go along with it and think, well, okay, we'll see how this pans out.
So. Yeah, no, something like the DB Cooper hijacking or whatever. I get what you guys are saying. It's just, man, there's so many people.
But that was the experiences that we had of hijacking prior to that. That's the first time where someone's just gone completely fucking tonto. You know what I mean? Nobody had really, known about the people were, going the full Allah Akbar.
Like you said, if they would have obeyed the regulations, the FAA recommendations, if they'd have followed FAA recommendations, there wouldn't have been a 9/11. But the pilots weren't even thinking of it in that mind. In fact, none of those cockpit doors were forced. This is something else people don't realize. The pilots let the hijackers take over the plane because they harmed or threatened to harm the passengers. In one case, they actually killed one of the flight attendants, right, prior to them taking it over, right, to prove that they were serious. So the pilots, they could have just, at that point, they could have depressurized the plane and landed, all right? 9/11 wouldn't have happened. But none of them did it. None of them followed regulations because everybody, the pilots, everybody was in a total different mindset at that point of what was going to happen if you get hijacked.
Well, no, and here's the question, all right? Here's the question. I fall on the side of everybody should have a gun at all times, really. But do you agree with pilots carrying guns?
I think they should be issued guns.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, definitely. That wouldn't be a problem. I mean, but they'd have to be, but make sure the bullets are not, they're going to have to be hollow point or something. You want something that's going to splat. You know, you need those
If you're gonna start
non-penetrating
with firearms, you need a lot of training.
you definitely don't.
Hey,
You don't.
You need
You don't want fucking hard
yeah.
point. You don't want hard point.
You need
memes. You were crackling. You were crackling. Drop out and come back in, brother. You were crackling real bad.
In an airplane, you would need something like ceramic ammo.
That's what I mean. I mean, you don't want to be using standard ammo in a plane.
Explosive decompression. All right. To be honest, in many of these planes, can it happen if it hits a weak spot, an undetected metal fatigue? Yes. In general, all right, most likely no. It isn't going to cause explosive decompression and the cabin rip apart.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I can appreciate that. If it's just a little hole, then it will just seep. Yeah.
Well, in the chat they asked, do they still have air marshals? And yes, they do. But they are random. They are not on every flight. Matter of fact, nobody knows how many there really are. Right.
And they can only be on intercontinental flights, not international.
No.
Oh, really?
There are air marshals in international flights as well.
I was going to say, that would be surprising.
That are coming. They do have them when they're in official capacity when they're coming from several foreign areas.
Yeah, but surely they're.
You know what? You know what? No, real quick. I just thought of this because I did go to flight school, and one of the first things they tell you is you got the pilot, the co-pilot, and usually you have another pilot in the jump seat, which is there in the cockpit. It's just a tiny little fucking seat. It's so they can travel back home or whatever from the flight. Why exactly were these people able to overpower everybody with one box cutter?
Well, plus don't forget, you normally have a navigator. I mean, there's usually three. You've got three in the cockpit. You've got the navigator, you've got the pilot, co-pilot. Plus, like you say, you've got the drop seat for somebody.
That's the point. They didn't overpower them. They sit up there and threatened them. They were let inside of the cabin. And then once they were inside the cabins and the guys were holding up their arms, they one at a time took them to the back and killed the pilot.
Isn't there usually also a flight engineer on these big jets?
No.
Not unless they're dead heading somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the things I learned is when you're actually a pilot in fucking a big corporation, you get to go wherever you want for free. That's what the jump seat's for. You just have to fucking let them know, and bam, you're flying over there.
Well, so if they have room, I mean.
Well, absolutely.
At the same time, so.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. No, don't you remember that Chinese guy that got dragged off a plane?
Get out of my head, If it's United Air, they just pick somebody, beat them up, and give the.
Well, that's a separate issue. that's only on United flights. Reserved right to pummel you.
Fly United, get the shit kicked out of you. That's a great tagline.
Do you
guys will come around your house and kick the shit out of you?
Do you think this could happen again? Do you think in the same situation? Neither do I, MC. And go ahead and say why you don't. Go ahead.
Because if somebody sits up there and goes, I'm hijacking he's going to be met with Mr. Cell Phone, Mr. Frickin' Laptop. He's going to be beaten into the ground because nobody wants to be in a building at 500 miles an hour. Some guy screams,
I don't think it would happen.
I'm hijacking the plane. He's going to be beaten, period.
Yeah.
The problem there is...
Well, that's the reason they have to do
fucking hot
and says,
I have a bomb. If he jumps up and says, I have a bomb, they're going to be like, so what? I might as well risk it instead of hitting a building. He's going to be met with the cell phone and everything else somebody could throw at him.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem if he's actually got a bomb with a dead man switching it.
Well, what difference does it make? You're going to freaking go anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a no-win. So at least you go out fighting. I mean that's the principle, right? You go out fighting.
Yeah, no, and that's what the people did on that Pennsylvania flight, the one that crashed there. And God, I can't say it too much. They are fucking heroes.
But Matt, Mad Dodge, why do you think that they've had to revert now to giving themselves fucking hot foots and exploding underwear and things like that? Because they know damn well that if they tried that shit again, if they actually tried to hijack, it wouldn't work because the people would just say fuck it, all for one and one for all, and that would be it. It would be game over.
When you've no longer got anything to lose, you've got everything to gain.
Exactly. So, you know, that's why I don't think it would happen again, because people would be aware of the, like I said before, they didn't understand that, like, the suicidal, you know, Allah Akbar bullshit that we know, that we now understand. So we know that there is, you know, this fucking loony needs to be taken down, or we are definitely dead.
It wasn't always like that in the Middle East, with these Middle Eastern terrorists, because there was a time, I forget who it was, so I think it was a PLO that hijacked this plane, and they landed at
PLO were always doing it.
Israeli airport. Yeah.
No, it was in Lebanon, wasn't
it? No, they landed at an airport in Israel. This is specific because they were demanding stuff from the Israeli government. Oh, we'll kill all the we'll kill all the hostages. The Israelis rolled a fucking tank on the runway. Surrender the plane, or we'll fucking blow the fucker up.
Blow the shit out, yeah.
They surrendered the plane.
Well, you got to meet force with force in certain circumstances.
Well, and so the next time they attacked the plane, they flew it to fricking, you know, Ghana or Guyana, wherever the frick that was. Uganda. And basically you end up with the Entebbe raid. All right, and it's after that they're starting to realize, okay, well, if we're going to sit up there and hijack, we're going to die anyway. We might as well take as many of these bastards as possible. That's that's the type of thinking that they have. They're not killing people as a reaction. These are planned events for long period. They think of themselves as being at war.
No.
Yeah, the other thing is,
well, I mean, that's why they're going to be martyrs, right? But it's beyond just being at war. It's a holy war. It's you know, it's
yes, it is. Forgetting it was one of these radical imams who says the West believes that the Islamic wars are over. They have never been over. We've just been in a truce, because
exactly
the true Muslims, not the westernized ones, but the proper Muslims don't really consider non-Muslims to be human. Or not fully human.
Well, that's why they call them infidels.
So instead of viewing it as murdering thousands of people, it's viewed as killing thousands of people, as in like a military conflict.
Yeah, killing thousands of enemies.
Thousands of dogs.
Yeah, enemies. The enemies of Islam. It's I mean, once you're working with theocracies, logic and reason go out the window.
I'm not sure I really agree with that interpretation.
What are you using a vibrator memes? What are you doing?
Yes.
Yes.
You hear me now?
He's giving himself
I can still hear the vibrator.
Hey, have you got your brawn lady shave out again?
Jesus, how deep is that? That's fucking rattling the back of your teeth.
I don't know. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's stupid, but he lost all of his teeth once by giving a vibrator a blowjob.
Oh shit! Yeah, next time don't use a back massager on stream, and you won't get that bullshit. Just saying.
I still don't believe that was a back massager. I'm sorry.
Back massager can be viewed in several different methodologies.
I'm sure you would know, MC. No. Don't ask, don't tell. That's all I'm saying. No.
There's some kind of weird shoulder blade fucking.
Hey, memes, according to Hamid, you're trimming your fursuit.
Oh,
back massage.
No. Speaking of back massagers, so when the XX misses memes, before it's just like, oh, what should I get her for Christmas? I'm like, I'll get her a sex toy. I'll get her Vibrant. She's like, no, don't get me that. When she found out, she was so offended. So then she buys me a sex toy. So I'm like, what the fuck? And when she actually got her Hitachi in, it was pretty interesting because she picks it up, she looks at it. It's almost kind of like Elon Musk was looking at that blunt, and then all of a sudden it vibrated, and then she just like jumped in the air. She's like, ah! I'm just like, she like jumps into my arms. I'm just like, you do realize you just jumped because your vibrator vibrated, right?
God damn it, memes. Like a day inside your fucking head would be interesting. But anyway.
It's a scary place.
Yeah, I know what I'd do if I had the inside moon's head.
A woman jumped
I don't
because
know.
her
I don't know what I'd do with all the room.
vibrated.
I know.
Yeah,
There's
I know
plenty of
what
room for
I'd do.
storage.
I'd jumble all of his memories up into the wrong order and stuff like that.
that might happen anyways.
Or I'd hide them all.
Oh no! Somebody needs to be like the Magic School Bus, go inside his head and record everything.
Don't treat me like a temp. So I'll end up
I
becoming
would
Yugi
so
from Yugi.
love to be the one to do that, Dodge.
Fantastic
Right?
voyage.
You've seen the Being John Malkovich.
It's a great
Malkovich
series,
movie.
MC.
Can you imagine if you found a little door that you could get inside Memes' head and be him for a day?
Wasn't the
So-
series.
Totally ruin his life.
What?
Oh, I wouldn't want to
Movie
be
is
him.
fantastic.
They've
voyage.
never done that before.
You just
Any
be him for a
media
day for that.
interpretation.
Anyway, I thought we were talking about 9/11. What the fuck is all this nonsense that you're babbling on about?
Yeah, I know. We're supposed to be
Talking
talking
They're
about
easily
destroying me
distracted
right.
by sex toys.
yeah, the vibration sound.
Fucking
Okay.
children. Honestly, it's like a fucking kindergarten. Come on, children, get out of the
Oh.
sandbox.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
we're out of
wanna.
the sandbox.
Cabbage, are we all in the sandbox?
God damn, we got Batman on here. All right, is Batman
Get
a real
out of the sandbox.
Or
Batman,
Batman.
are we in the sandbox?
Look,
we have a
just get out.
dragon,
All right,
a
all right,
Batman,
out of
a
the
Mad Hatter,
playground.
and
Okay.
a fucking cabbage with a Cabbage Patch Kid for a
We're
head.
Yeah.
very diverse.
So
right
really.
now.
fuck right
Yeah,
off,
really.
Cabbage.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's a good
I
point.
said it's a kindergarten, and I'm the one who's trying to herd the kids back into the classroom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, but
We're
you're
talking
I
about
know you're looking at
9/11.
education.
what are you doing? Rolling at us? Anyway, no.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop the
I
banter.
am.
I'll stop. Okay,
Uh-huh.
memes.
Get on topic.
Memes. Jet fuel doesn't melt fucking steel beams, does it?
No, but it was severely compromised. It aided with winds and stuff. You're turning it essentially into a mini forge, except on a massive scale. I worked at a forge when I was growing up. When I say that, I went to a couple of days of summer camp, and I have a couple of pieces of wrought iron to show with it. But dude, they would even tell you, it's like, all right, the metal is like 900 degrees when it starts to lightly cherry, and then it's like when the metal is actually like sparkling and stuff like that, you're starting to actually burn it. That's like 2,500 or so. But you have to stick it deep in the forge. But and what's a compromise is that like iron that you couldn't even like bend, you can literally bend with like one finger, depending on like your tool, your leverage, and stuff like that. It depending on how heavy the building is, I don't really see anything there, especially where it was compromised internally.
Yeah, but remember,
And
that
number of force, so there's
vast-
actually volume there
Yeah.
that was.
But with a forge, you're constantly feeding it, and you have to, you've got the coals in,
Well,
and you've got
there
everything,
was
and
some
it's
fuel.
already at an existing temperature. Yeah, but most of the fuel was blown
Well,
off
people
in
aren't
the
factoring enough
explosion.
for the air.
No, most of the fuel isn't burned off.
No, real quick though. The chat is saying steel or jet fuel won't melt it, but it will weaken it. I can agree with that. But the way the tower fell, it wasn't like the beams in the middle of it melted and it fucking toppled over.
No,
It wasn't
no,
the leaning
but
tower of
if
Pisa.
part of it was compromised.
Watch those towers come down. You will see them tilt first before everything starts to pancake.
Yeah.
They twisted the towers when they hit the plate.
Yeah, but no. They denied the
it's
pancake
immense
thing because
gravity.
of the timing. It doesn't. Yeah, but the pancake
But
thing.
Cabbage,
resistance-
once
you
it
see,
starts
you
to
could
go-
apply that. No, you could apply that to the second one. I'd agree with you. The first one though, I mean, because don't forget, heat also rises. Okay, so you can any materials above, in and above the fires are going to be affected, but the floors below are not being, right? So all of that still is, total structural integrity. And the way that those buildings were done, they were effectively like three separate buildings stacked on top of each other. So the integrity was, should have been maintained below those, below that level.
Well, yeah, no, and like I said,
So-
the 95 bombing, the building was maintained. It didn't fucking fall down.
Yeah, but
So
it didn't
Wow.
hit any structural supports, and the amount of explosives used was not the same.
Yeah, but like I said, it's only from the level that it was impacted, which is, like I said, the second
First of
impact
all,
was lower
let me
down,
ask
but
you
the
a
first
question.
one was
How much do
relatively
you
high.
think a major airliner like that weighs?
But that had been already accounted
several
for.
hundred thousands of pounds.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna
had been
say,
accounted for. That was.
Don't make me go to my bookshelf and grab my fucking flight manual.
The first
like,
pin
don't
hit,
make me do it,
the first
please.
pin hit the tower at one of the corners, which caused the tower structure to twist enough to weaken it.
Yeah,
was,
but that,
like I said, they'd carefully studied and planned for the attack. They knew exactly how to hit the towers to make them collapse.
But then we have
it would have
then you have the contradiction of the
error, but here's the thing, man. If you
about
did have
7,
that much
737.
fuel drenching down into previous floors and areas, dude, the amount of air just coming in, even if you have an open door and just in like a fire in a normal house, dude, if you're up, how many stories was it? Like 70, 80 stories, 60 stories, something like that.
Okay, you know what? No, you know what, Memes? I gotta cut you off because at the impact point of I don't remember which tower it was. There was a person standing there dangling, still alive. That's at the impact point. That means she was fucking in there, dude, when it fucking hit. But this thing melts the steel beams and it collapses. Like
Sardonic 7 just said in the chat. Yep, a 300-ton flying bomb hitting you at 340 miles per hour.
That woman lived through the impact, but the building that supposedly was built fucking spectacularly.
That woman wasn't necessarily on that. They don't know where that woman came from.
That wasn't necessarily the impact point. Yeah, that could have been a couple of floors below.
Here's the thing. A number of jetliners were hijacked and used to murder over 3,000 people. And we've gotten into a number of wars, conflicts, and now our countries are starting to just eat themselves apart. And have we gone to a good place 17 years later?
No, because there's a certain group of people in this country that absolutely hate it and want to destroy it.
It is. It's true.
Well, that's not cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Fuck that. We're fucking Americans. It's like
we've become we're saying this. It's like like Madeleine was earlier on that it's like we've become self-hating.
Well, that's sad because if too many folks aren't feeling American, then what the fuck are we?
Well, the whole entire
British. We're meant to be European now.
Entire political.
No, I'm not European.
You have an entire political party that got upset.
Never will be either.
Because somebody was flying an American flag.
What?
You have an entire political party that was upset because somebody was wearing a flag or flying an American flag that constantly say you guys just wrap yourself in the flag. How dare you wrap yourself in the flag?
It's a sign of aggression.
What? This wasn't in America.
That's what they do. Yeah, we have
the entire Democrat Party sitting up there screaming just recently in an op-ed about how dare Republicans wrap themselves in the American flag.
Well, it is partially a political tactic, but it's the fucking American flag. It's open to fucking every side.
Why would you make that a point?
Yes, but you see, this is the thing. This is happening internationally. It's happening everywhere in all of the Western communities, societies.
Yes, it is.
You know, you remember Angela Merkel? She denied that guy putting waving a German flag when she won or whatever. You can't. You can't have the George Cross. Unless it's an England match.
Do they do it for many flags?
Yeah, they do it for all of the different countries are basically because they want to make it European. They want to make it the European Union, so you have to remove the nationalism has to be removed so that it can be replaced.
There are towns in England where you will be fined for flying the English flag.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah,
I can go right now and hang all my Confederate. I can go right now and hang all my Confederate flags, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them.
Yeah, but the thing is, but they're going. Yeah, but they're going. But they're getting worse. Yeah, but they're getting worse than that now because I mean, the George Cross was seen as English because the EDL and things made of. No, they didn't give it a bad name. They just happened to utilize it, right? But even now, the Union Jack,
isn't that what happened?
One is now.
Cabby, is the English Defense League still a thing? And is it growing in popularity?
They're a bunch
That's
of
a good
idiots.
No,
they're
no,
not.
no, they're not. They're not going anywhere. They are literally just thugs.
Again, which is a good thing.
Well, there were meetings at the EU Parliament, and certain people from the YouTubes were speaking. It was interesting.
And what was the vote?
Oh, I don't know. Sargon posted a video. I watched like 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, the European Parliament is a fucking joke. It's a
but that's the whole point. You see, but they want to remove identity of the nation because they want to make we're all meant to be just European. Like that means anything. They can just arbitrarily change your identity.
There's one important reason why a united Europe can't work. Unlike a United States, the United Europe cannot work because there's too many.
Because they're fucking French.
That's why. It's too many old rivalries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What did you with Sharon?
No. Here's the thing, Batman. Couldn't you meme it into existence? All you do is you just put the whole of Europe in there, minus the UK with Brexit, of course, and just say one Europe under Germany.
Oh yeah,
there was this little trying to do that.
But even Germany is falling apart. Look at fucking Angela Merkel. The fucking far right extremist groups
Angela Merkel
are starting to fucking take over.
People are getting pissed off because things are happening.
And they're talking about Italy and Sweden are both talking about referendums for the
Angela Merkel is
EU as well.
Angela Merkel is a product of the Soviet Union.
I still don't understand
I thought she was a Catholic.
No, I'm wondering
why does Greece stay in the EU?
No, she's
so weird.
There's a lot of
rumors
and ideas going around that she was in the Stasi.
Oh, she was because she's Eastern. She was East German.
Yeah,
she was East German. Yeah, she's East German.
Wait,
right?
Hold on.
When the wall came down, she was originally on the other side of the wall. She was pure communist.
Wait, hold on a second. So Batman, based upon your logic here, so what you're saying is Angela Merkel is wrapping up Europe into his very nice, lovely package just for Vladimir Putin to all of a sudden just sign something with and be like,
Vladimir Putin is a capitalist. Angela Merkel is a communist.
Real quick though,
this is
Cabby, real quick. Joshua in the chat has a question for you, British guys. What do you feel about UKIP? Are you going to join UKIP like Common Sense guy did? He did it publicly, so I'm not doing any doxing here.
No, I don't join. I don't join parties, but I will. I mean, they are the only viable option. If there is,
Cabbage, you should throw the parties.
Huh?
Just invite a whole bunch of folks from different parties that hate each other, and just get them absolutely splasted.
Let's get them hammered.
Well, and then sneak out the back door and detonate the explosives. Good idea.
I see. I was going to say, and then hammer out our differences, but
well, that would be hammering out our differences.
No, that'd be detonating your differences.
But don't you think UKIP is actually the party of the future for Britain? It looks like that's where it's going to go.
Not really.
Party
I don't think it's
Not
professional
necessarily
enough. I mean, I think it's becoming the new equivalent of the Liberal Democrats, like back in the 80s.
Not necessarily.
Sounds like a thing to do.
Not necessarily the party of the future, but very likely the party that could lead us into the future.
Yeah,
there is a difference.
Yeah, it's possible. It's still embryonic, really, in terms of having any kind of. And it's never really held any political influence. I mean,
how
many MPs are there?
Nigel Farage is crusade for Brexit.
No, I get that. Well, real quick, I get how many MPs are there. That's like telling me, as a libertarian here, I am a card-carrying Libertarian Party member. Okay, that's like telling me, how many governors do you fucking have? We had Gary Johnson, and when he got elected, he wasn't even a libertarian. I get that, but we still get to control the narrative. We still get to influence it.
You just have like a website.
I'm just saying that, you know, at the moment, in terms of UKIP, it's got a lot of baggage, unfortunately, UKIP. I mean, obviously, you not living here, you don't know the kind of bad press that it's always been getting.
Well,
The way it's perceived is not good. It needs to rebrand itself or something.
Cabbage, remember the Monster Movie Party?
Yeah, exactly.
They were a joke, right?
Screaming Lord Such.
But they made sense. They made sensible propositions, which got laughed at. But every time the next party got into power, they stole those ideas from them. They did influence politics.
Oh yeah, no, I think UKIP is going to influence, but like it's not going to become a major contender. I mean, but if, for example, there was a hung parliament,
we have choices of.
If it was a hung parliament with UKIP.
Well, we could go with liberalists. We could go with the Liberal Britain Party. So there are choices.
We already had that. We already had that, and they ended up in a hung parliament. We had a hung parliament, and we had the Liberal Democrats with the Conservatives, and that was a total catastrophe.
The Liberal Party have always been a party with no testicles.
Yeah, but at least if it was like UKIP, as the one with the deciding vote, you know, like you couldn't get a majority for one of the two big parties, then somebody's going to tip the balance. I think it would be good to have UKIP there to do that instead of the fucking Social Democrats.
So they have to come to some sort of accord and a working relationship. If not, then you'd have a guy like Nigel Farage like tearing shit up.
You have a parliamentary system over there. They're not a republic.
Yeah, we are.
You see, well,
there are some things I like about the UK parliamentary system.
Yeah,
well, that's what a hung parliament is where no single party can get a majority, and then they have to do a deal with.
Memes, you scare me because you like a lot of things about a lot of things.
Yeah, sometimes I think we should have a literal hung parliament because they deserve hanging.
Yes, on Parliament Square.
Mm.
Yeah,
that sounds somewhat regressive. No, but here's the thing. I love when the Prime Minister goes in there and he's in front of Congress and they're kind of like duking it out. Like I feel that could be maybe slightly healthy and cathartic.
What do you think? Beheading though? Beheading or hanging?
Well, no. To avoid that, we have that system. We don't let it get out of hand.
Cabbage, I think it should actually be trebuchet.
I mean, unless they're talking about bringing back dueling. That's another topic in itself.
That would be so funny.
I also
but I like the banter.
That's by trebuchet.
No, it's the banter between all the different forms of government.
I also think that we should turn the channel into a giant soaker.
I swear.
Well, it should be a training ground for scuba divers.
Look, it's already pointed at France. It would be perfect.
Can you imagine the eye as a giant dunking wheel?
Yeah, but if we put the Canadian Prime Minister in front of Memes, he'd probably turn him into his best friend.
Yeah, you know what? That is a good point, Memes. What the fuck? You would hang out with Trudeau, wouldn't you?
Well, Trudeau is a boxer, and I used to do a little boxing.
Yeah, I know what kind of boxing you did.
Yeah, no.
I used to take lessons over at Mickey Ward's old gym.
He boxes with that vibrator. But anyway,
it's a different kind of unboxing. We don't need to see that.
Oh, it's all right, Cabbage. Your unboxings must be interesting. Dirt must go all over the place.
Backdoor.
But no, okay. Yeah. So it's how many years later? Is everything better now? It doesn't seem so. It seems like trucks of peace are becoming a regular place.
I think the terrorists may have won in a way, because like where it was when someone's trying to be a terrorist, what are they trying to do? They're trying to terrorize you. What are they trying to accomplish? They're trying to have you change your way of life. Have we changed our way of life?
No, without a doubt. That's been said for years. You know, that's exactly what Yeah, I mean, you can see it with the Houses of Parliament. You remember that, there's the guy who smashed into the side, the side of the.
Yeah.
So then, what was their solution? Was it to crack down? No, it was, let's build a wall, which is ironic.
Hey, Cabbage, I can remember a time when, that sad Dick Kant turned around and says, terrorism is the price of living in a modern city.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
People would have been.
It reminds me of that.
Well, I
Somebody
remember
should do that.
when if he'd said that, people would have been crying for his resignation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. But that there's a quote, if anyone, RoboCop 1, where they, just after the Ed 209 has gone completely fucking nuts, blown the guy up. It's like, oh, poor old Ted, just life in the big city. That's a meme waiting to happen.
I never actually.
I can't believe nobody's ever captured it. Well, it's perfect. I mean, that is perfect for Sadiq Khan. Although it'd be good if somebody actually managed to superimpose Sadiq Khan's head, on the guy who gets shot.
Cabbage, you have free roofs.
You
can do it.
But I don't have the animation stuff, and I can't be sitting there waiting for
Cabbage. Have you heard of
people who do?
Cabbage? Have you heard of a guy called Daniel Bostock?
Yes, I know that. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, have you seen his Sadiq Khan song?
Yes, I have.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's funny.
You lot want to go and look up Daniel Bostock.
I liked his version of Park Life. That was hilarious. That was so good.
No, it was far right, wasn't it?
Yeah, all right. Oh, and he's got Arnold Schwarzenegger giving it the pelvic thrust and everything. It was fucking brilliant.
And
that was a keeper
dancing behind him.
Yeah, that's right. It's hilarious, man. He does a good job. Yeah, he really does.
That's part of British culture. Yeah, parodying and satire.
Yeah.
I think that's
why SJWs and the sort of far left, because they have no sense of humor. They're also fucking serious.
Well, like I pointed out before, you look at the countries that are run by far left governments, like the Soviet Union, Cuba.
You don't see many smiles, do you? You don't see many smiles, right?
There's nothing creative comes out of them. There's no creativity in those places. Funny enough, you see the same in the Middle East. There's no creativity there.
Yeah, because they're all oppressive. They're all oppressive nature.
Wait, what? How does Silicon Valley exist?
Is Silicon Valley in the Middle East?
Oh.
What are you talking about?
I took my headset off for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right, there was this.
You just wander in. The world doesn't revolve around you.
There's this video on YouTube. Taken from this Arabian TV program. You got this Arab there. He's saying that in the Muslim world, there's no creativity. They don't build anything themselves. Even the cars they produce over there, they're built with machines from the West and parts shipped in from the West. They don't make anything themselves.
Oh, my cousin told me if you go to work over at Dubai, you're from the UK or the States, you automatically get like a 200% salary increase.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
And it's also tax-free too. It's
oh, really?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is not.
Dubai is.
No, it's not.
If
you are being paid
until you bring it back in. Until you bring it back in.
I think it depends on status.
If you are on contract in the United States.
The
first $80,000 is tax-free.
MC, we're not in the United States.
No. Yeah, it's a tax haven over here.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's the first bit that goes up to the say. Okay,
yeah. Well, over here, it's
first 80,000 is non-taxable, and then it becomes taxable income at the rate afterwards. So, in other words, if you get $90,000, you have to pay $10,000 tax on it if you had $10,000.
Well, I mean that's a lot better than paying a tax on all of it. I mean, yeah, but no, okay.
But for
But,
Brits,
but it isn't quote unquote tax free. I just want you to understand that.
if you're in the UAE and it's from Britain, it's effectively like being in the Cayman Islands. You know, the Virgin Islands. It's you know, Liechtenstein. It's
what you're saying is it's like a timeshare that affords you many opportunities.
No, it's you know, you can earn your money. The only time that you have to I mean, you will get taxed when you declare it, when you bring it into the country. But of course, lots of people, you know, bring in money belts and things like that.
That would
or they bring them in
incentivize people from bringing their money back.
Well, it does. Well, yeah, but you can bring money back in lots of ways.
You
can bring it in diamonds, or you can have a bearer bond or something like that. So, but it's only at the point where you actually declare it.
If you bring more than $10,000 in across the border and you don't declare it, they can seize it.
That's why they have that.
But then all you need to do is just have an account overseas. And
hold on, wait. MC, how does this work? Are we talking like in a single item? What have happened if you had a bunch of like $5,000 items on you?
Yeah, what happens if you just bring in
declare the total amount and they catch you? They can seize it.
What happens if you just bring it in like?
Who defines that? Because what happens if you were wearing like a bunch of expensive clothing, for instance?
What happens if you just bring in $5,000 at a time?
You could do that, and you wouldn't have.
I mean, you're fine, but that's
exactly.
You're better off Western Union thing, I guess.
Yeah, that way.
If you bring in clothes, the thing is, and they catch you, okay. If somebody sits there and says that looks like an Armani suit that's worth $10,000 that you're wearing, when did you pick it up? And if you say, well, I got it in Italy, they're going to ask you, why didn't you declare it? And they can seize it.
Well, it's only
$5,000. The best one.
Because you see, there's this tiny manufacturing on the sleeve here, which is a markdown.
No. You tell them you got it here last time while you were in Italy, and you're going back to return it.
The easiest one is jewelry, right? Because you can just wear rings and say, well, I've had it for years. You know, I mean, nobody really inspects jewelry. You just put the jewelry in. Nobody really looks at it.
You still have to declare that you have it.
Yes, well, exactly. You're meant to declare. Hold on. But what I'm saying is, you can buy yourself a $250,000, ring. Mm-hmm. And while you're going through customs and it just goes through, nobody's even going to fucking notice it. It's not going to happen. So you can, I mean, there are plenty of ways, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you have an account overseas, which has a UK, base, you can withdraw your money from that offshore account.
Yeah.
It's effectively like having an account. It's like you can go to Spain and you can, put your debit card in a cash machine, pick the English thing and then just withdraw your money, just like you could if you're in the UK. It's no different. So there are plenty of bank accounts which work, between countries, and you don't have to necessarily, and then you're not actually, transferring any amount in, like any significant amount. So you're not going to get taxed on it. It doesn't even show up on the radar. I mean, if you went out and bought, £1 million.
Whoa. See, here's the thing, Cabbage. Right now,
it would have to go through some kind of process.
That explanation would be actually one of the best infomercials for travelers' checks.
Yeah, well, travelers' checks is,
Travelers' checks are not very exciting. I think we just killed the stream with that. My apologies.
Yeah, well, you always do that.
Yeah.
You come up with something totally irrelevant.
Memes is coming, my lord.
Well, here's the thing. I do remember at one point in the stream, Cabbage was describing events, saying they seemed like a theatrical film.
No, I was saying that the way the events of 9/11 unfolded was very, episodic.
No, dude, it was unreal. Like you couldn't believe it. No, because you couldn't write that. It's
and like I said, because of what we used to seeing on the big screen, it didn't look realistic.
It's because it was real.
Yeah, it's too real to be real.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
I
But
mean,
it happened, and we're here. So what do we do?
And it led to a lot of other fucking.
well, what we should have done is learn from the fucking lesson and grown closer, but that didn't happen.
Well, some groups did for a while. Have we just let entropy take over?
Yeah. Just be glad she didn't get into the presidency. Yes, I did make a Clinton joke.
No, we can do better. Come on.
Yeah,
Let's
but
fucking get over ourselves. As a wise princess once said, "Let it go, let it go."
Sorry to do this to you, memes, but you just deserved it.
Fair play.
Madodge, where the hell are you? MC, please try and get some kind of relevancy back into the stream.
Oh no, there was a little bit of a family thing going on, and my wife's got to take off to run right to the coast, which is 200 miles away, and then straight back. But yeah, I'm back. I just had to deal with that.
That's one advantage of living in the UK. Wherever you are, the coast is only about half an hour's drive away.
It is.
Yeah, no, she's got to go pick up my brother-in-law. Family issues. It's nothing I want to say live, but yeah, that's all. Yeah. I was dealing with her, so I didn't really hear what you guys were talking about. What's going on? Where are we at?
I think we're at the wind down point, actually.
We're at nowhere. We just
we're at the wind down point. Okay. All right. 9/11 was a goddamn tragedy. Is there some fishy shit? Is there stuff that I question? Absolutely. And I think everybody should. On the way Building 7 fell, come on, like, guys, that was fucked. The Pentagon, no fucking debris around it at all. That's fucked. At the tail end here, we started talking about British politics. I think I don't really get a say in it, but I think UKIP needs to gain more popularity.
Hold on, why not? You have brain, you've got cognitive abilities. Why don't you get a say in it?
It's not our country.
Doesn't matter. You've still got opinions.
We can give our opinions, yeah, but
yeah. That's a saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose you're right, Batman. Very good point.
We seem to be able to have a say in American politics. Why can't you have a say in our politics?
Well, it's not. Yeah, but having a say indicates that you influence. I mean, having an opinion.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Well, I do, but
is this influence?
Let's face it. No country exists in a vacuum.
Well, anything's influence. I mean, it's a fucking Facebook post an influence.
Yeah.
Jesus.
British politics influences American politics.
Well, apparently, depending on where they come from, Cabbage, they might be.
Oh, meme! Stop being such a cunt. I know where it's going.
We do influence each other. We do influence each other's countries.
As soon as we would do that, if we stepped up and became very vociferous, we'd get accused of badgering other people's elections, and people would harass us more.
Yeah, didn't used to happen though, did it?
Yeah, it's always happened to us.
No, it hasn't. Because I mean, American politicians used to voice their opinions on British politics once over. That didn't happen. British politicians used to voice their opinions on American politics. It didn't happen. Like I said, our politics influences each other's countries as much as it influences our own countries. We are not living in vacuums, isolated from each other.
Well, I agree that we're not living in vacuums, isolated from one another. But the thing is that as soon as we start talking about things, people around the world harass us. America is involving themselves into politics. When Trump made his comment about the Brexit, the frickin' press went absolutely berserk over here that we were interfering with British politics.
No,
yeah, but look,
devices like Twitter would actually help us solve these things, right?
But look at the when Barack Obama said you're going to the back of the queue. You know, look at that one.
Yeah, but the reason the press didn't do anything is because they were busy sucking his dick.
He was a very handsome man.
So that's what I mean. So that's got nothing to do with, you know, I mean, like I said, that's just the exposure to the choice of information that the editors want to make available.
Let's face it, if you want to suck any Obama's dick, you have to go to Michelle.
You can suck Michelle's dick first. You got to suck her off first.
Once again, the views expressed on the Redeye stream are not necessarily the views of Mad Dodge Productions or any of the other panel members that don't actually say them. So,
well, I am saying Michelle Obama has
also possesses a Patreon, a BitChute, and all that other jazz.
Oh yeah. No, there is a BitChute, there is a Patreon. And I actually threw links in the description today. You know, I actually did something for once.
Wow.
Fuck you, Cabby. Yeah, I know, right?
That's progress.
Fuck you. All right, so
getting experience points.
Anything else you guys want to say, or should we just wrap it up and go hang out in Discord?
I think I've said all I want to say.
All right, then we're gonna wrap it up. This has been the Redeye stream number 164. It's been the 9/11 show, and yeah, when it comes to that fucking plane that downed in Pennsylvania, those people were fucking heroes. And you know, the other victims, I'm sorry, like, goddamn. It's just, I don't think we should have gone to a 14-year war over it. I mean, you know, like we could have ended it in 2 years. Yeah, fair enough. And MC, you have your say here, and then I'll wrap it up.
Look, I understand that people don't want us to be involved in long wars and long series of things. And we wouldn't have been if people would get the flip out of the way. The biggest problem that we have in this country when it comes to going to war and things like that is there are people who will backdoor us and fifth column us every single time and question every freaking thing that's ever done instead of letting us get the job done.
The French.
And let us get the job done, and then go back later and go, okay, where did we go wrong or not? Just let us get the freaking job done and get it done and be done with it. Instead, what you have is a freaking a group of people in this country that are bound and determined to backdoor us at every freaking opportunity and prevent us from going in the way we need to go in to get the job done and go back. And there's too many people whining and crying about, oh, you're going to sit up there and hurt this person, or you're going to hurt that person, or oh my God, there were children that were killed. Yeah, that's called war. If you're going to unleash us and want us to go to war, then you'd better be prepared for the fact that, yeah, it's a war.
You know what though, MC, I would argue with you, but we're wrapping it up. But you're right. You kick the hornet's nest, you get fucking stung. On that point, good night, good luck, and don't fucking move to France. Just stay the fuck out of there. Oh, okay, Batman. All right.
Before we go, one thing. Far-right Yorkshireman has come up with a brilliant idea. He says he knows how he can solve all the world's problems. We gas the French.
Yeah, well, that would certainly be a start.
Well, there you go. Like I said, don't move to France or you'll get gassed. Step in the Z oven. Anyway, we're done. Yeah. Good night. We're fucking out of here.